What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
Freest Man on the Sea. 1 FM. Chapter 1. Prison at the beginning open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. The new one is not dead yet. In a blur, Luo Ning seemed to hear something around him, and then his consciousness began to wake up gradually due to a sharp pain. It's not dead yet, but I don't know how long it will last. At this moment, Luo Ning felt extremely painful all over his body. He had a pair of thick shackles on his hands, and he was wearing a black prison uniform. Luo Ning, the time traveler, traveled to the world of pirates 3 years ago. After that, he settled down on the island he traveled through. Although he has traveled through time, he has no cheats, and because his body is his own, he can be said to be extremely weak in this world. Luo Ning has been looking forward to his cheat awakening, but he has no reaction at all. So he can only try to exercise his body. With continuous exercise, he can clearly feel that his body is getting stronger. In this way, it lasted for 3 years, but the good times did not last long. The marine in their area changed a group of people, and after the change of this group of people, the new marine began to collect protection fees. Luo Ning is an outsider. Although he has settled here, he has been exercising for the past few years, and he can't make much money. In addition to his own consumption, he can't save at all. He had no money, and the marines didn't let him go, but they were bullied and forced to work as coolies. During this period, Luo Ning also thought about leaving here, but he didn't have any money at all, and wanted to escape. There was sea all around, how could he escape? In the end, the unbearable Luo Ning chose to resist, set a trap and killed several marine soldiers, but the result was not much better, and he was directly arrested in this deep-sea prison. Although it was only the first floor of Crimson Hell, the baptism on the first floor of the sea directly cost him half his life when he came in. This is because his physical fitness has improved a lot after he came to this world and has been exercising continuously, which is already different from ordinary people. This is why he has survived this wave of baptism, otherwise this wave of baptism would directly kill him. But now it is almost impossible to move, and the severe pain all over his body has been tormenting his nerves. This is the second time he fainted and woke up again. He didn't know how long he could last, he just wanted to say, this world is so g disgusting. Your body is too weak. In the past, a rookie like you usually couldn't last for half a month, but you were lucky. You were assigned to our cell. At least in this cell, you will only be robbed of half of your food. The person who spoke before spoke again, and the cell on the first floor of Crimson Hell is occupied by multiple people. In the deep-sea prison, although some people were deliberately sent in by marine like him, there were not many of them. Most of them are still pirates who do all kinds of evil at sea. Advertisement. Luo Ning's luck was relatively good, and he was not assigned to the cell where those vicious guys were. Instead, he was placed in a slightly more friendly cell, but even so, half of his food was taken away by these people. You know, the food distributed in this cell is only a small amount every day, not enough to fill his stomach, and now half of it has been divided, and the remaining food can barely support him from being starved to death. I know, if I'm in another cell, I'm probably going to starve to death in a few days. Luo Ning was lying on the ground. At this moment, he was extremely desperate for his future, and the time travel was far from as good as he imagined. Especially in a chaotic world like pirates, the decadent marine, because of the great age of voyage that Roger broke out, pirates ran everywhere. When he came to this world, the time was determined. When he was sent to prison, it was Sea Circle Calendar 1517, which is the time when Ace went to sea. As for Luffy, he will go to sea in 3 years. Of course, Luo Ning never thought about joining the pirates. In the original book, Luffy and the others have experienced many death crises because of the halo of the protagonist. He has the protagonist halo, and he doesn't know if he can do it, so he never thought of joining these forces in the past. It's about sticking to it and slowly improving your strength with all your heart, not to mention other things, at least you must have simple self-protection. But Nahi World made a joke with him and directly encountered this kind of garbage marine. This kind of garbage marine is actually not uncommon in the sea. And all of this stems from Marine's concept of absolute justice. Marine's concept of absolute justice does not allow any stain on Marine, and those who dare to defy Marine are naturally not much better. I don't know how many people were forced to become pirates by Marine. Because he knew that others would not dare to provoke Marine, Marine became unscrupulous. Undoubtedly, most of Marine's top management are fairly honest. But they don't care about the bottom, like Smoker, as the leader of East Blue. The whole East Blue has become a mess, but does he, Smoker, know? I don't know, why is Nami afraid to go to Smoker? Because she saw that too many Marines in East Blue are the same as Colonel Mouse. So for Smoker, she didn't think it would be a good Marine. Such a big East Blue could make Nami feel that Marine was not as trustworthy. This shows how rotten this Marine is, and it has rotted to the root. Chapter 2. Cheat to the account open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Ding. Just as Luo Ning was lying on the ground waiting to die, a crisp ringing sound suddenly came from his mind. Immediately afterwards, a blue light screen suddenly appeared in front of him, and before he could react, a wave of information quickly entered his mind. Freedom system. Is this the awakening of cheat? You should have come earlier. After Luo Ning received this message, he also knew that his cheat had arrived, but was the awakening time a bit late. It actually made him wait for 3 years to get the account, and it took 3 years for the binding alone. But at the moment Luo Ning didn't have time to continue complaining, he already knew the function of this system. The function of the system is very simple. It is divided into 2 parts. One is a lottery draw. Now he has a chance to draw a lottery series, all inclusive. The other piece is the freedom point. This system is very peculiar, as the name of the system is based on freedom. As long as he does something he thinks is free, he will be given different numbers of freedom points according to the situation. Free points can be used to strengthen oneself in various abilities. In addition, the number of lottery draws is also obtained from it, but the number of lottery draws is special and needs to be accumulated. To put it simply, every time he does something he thinks is free, he will get free points, and he will also accumulate the progress of getting the number of lottery draws. After reaching a certain level, he can get a number of lottery draws. At this moment, there is still simple information on the blue light screen. One is free points, but now the number is 0, the other is the number of lottery draws, and the number is 1. In addition to the 2 numbers, there is also a progress bar, which is the number of lottery draws cumulative progress bar. This progress bar is also empty now, and when it is full, it will reset to 0, and he will also get the ability to draw a lottery once. Similarly, this light screen can only be seen by himself. It's really a simple and crisp system, so let's try our luck and hope we can get some good things. Luo Ning's current situation is so bad that it can't be worse. Now he can only rely on the lottery to improve his situation. Anyway, no matter what he draws, the situation can't get worse. As the number of lucky draws for the only time was consumed, a message appeared in Luo Ning's mind again. Holy Text V, Visionary, with Reiatsu. That's what the message is about. Sacred Text V, isn't that the sacred text of Gremi Themius? What luck. After Luo Ning received this power, his whole body was excited. This ability is simply too timely for him now. Advertisement. And this ability even comes with Reiatsu. What is Reiatsu? That is the most basic energy of the Shinigami world, somewhat similar to Conqueror's Haki in this world, but it completely crushes Conqueror's Haki in every aspect. Of course, the more important thing is the ability of the Visionary. The ability of a Visionary is to consume Reiatsu to make his fantasies come true. Of course, this ability is not omnipotent. But even if there are some flaws, these flaws can be eliminated with free points. As long as there are enough free points, this ability can be completely strengthened into a perfect ability. But for now, drawing this ability is already a lottery. After recovering from the surprise, Luo Ning used this power, and with the consumption of Reiatsu, the injuries on his body recovered in the blink of an eye, and the pain completely disappeared. This is the ability of a Visionary, imagining that all the injuries on his body will recover. After fully recovering from his injuries, Luo Ning sat up directly from the ground. Huh, how did you get up? Could it be that you're dying so you're dying? You shouldn't be dying so soon. A prisoner next to him was surprised to see Luo Ning, who had been lying still since entering the prison, sit up straight away. However, what happened next left the prisoner in a daze. Because he saw a key suddenly appear in Luo Ning's hand, and he poked it into the keyhole of the handcuffs, and then the handcuffs fell off. What's going on here? Where did you get the key? The prisoner who saw this scene exclaimed, attracting the attention of others. At this moment, all the prisoners in the cell saw the handcuffs in front of Luo Ning and Luo Ning who was moving his wrists. This is the power of the Visionary. Through fantasy, they can imagine the key of the handcuffs, not to mention the key of the handcuffs. One must know that this fantasy can even imagine life in the universe. It's just that Luo Ning's strength is still unable to do this, but to him, imagining a key is the pediatrics of the pediatrics. The moment the handcuffs were opened, Luo Ning gained 100 free points. Doing what I think is free will give me a certain amount of freedom points. After getting the free point, Luo Ning remembered the information he had received before. Chapter 3 Leaving the cell open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. It seems that not all the things I feel free can be freed, there are certain restrictions. Luo Ning found that there are certain trigger conditions for this kind of freedom point. For example, he thinks that breathing and walking are also acts of freedom, but this does not get freedom point. There should be certain trigger conditions. Thinking of this, Luo Ning looked at the door of the cell. He was freed just now because the handcuffs were released, so how about opening the door and going out now? Thinking of this, Luo Ning walked towards the door of the cell. If he wants to become stronger quickly, he needs more freedom points. It is basically impossible to obtain freedom points in this cell. There are some Bruglian jailers out there patrolling, but he's also got the Visionary ability, so you'll have to try it out. The worst thing would be to lose to being caught. Although being caught would be tortured, he would not die. With the ability of a Visionary, he could easily deal with it. But before that, Luo Ning divided the 100 free points he got into 2 parts to strengthen Reiatsu and the body. At this moment, he felt that his strength and Reiatsu had been significantly enhanced. New here, let's ask you something, where did you get the key? Or are you some special demon fruit power? All the prisoners in the cell stared at Luo Ning fiercely. There are countless prisoners in the deep sea prison, and not all prisoners use seastone shackles. Only those who have been judged as demon fruit power will be treated like a separate cell in seastone shackles. I don't know how the original work of Buggy got into the first floor. He is a person with abilities and has tens of millions of rewards, but he is locked in the group cell on the first floor. It can only be said that some strange things can always happen to Buggy. It is almost impossible to hide abilities, because when pirates are caught, it is impossible to hide their abilities and not use them. However, there are very few special cases, and some abilities that cannot be used for combat may naturally get away with it. Special demon fruit power. You can think so too. Luo Ning said that a key appeared in his hand again, which was the key to the cell door. New here, you are planning to escape, right? Uncuff the handcuffs for us. We can help you. It is impossible for you to escape alone. At this moment, most people showed surprise expressions. Most of the people here are desperados. Staying here is not just locked up. After a while, they will be dragged to the location of the sword tree and needle grass to be tortured. So almost everyone here is crazy, even knowing that it is impossible to escape with their own strength. But if they have the chance to come out, they will definitely come out, and they will take revenge on the jailers who tortured them as soon as possible. Prison break. What did I say I was going to break out? I just plan to go out and relax. As for you, to be honest, I'm very grateful that you didn't snatch all my food, but it doesn't mean that I have good senses for you. You should stay here honestly. Advertisement. While opening the cell door, Luo Ning spoke. Indeed, these people left half of the rations for themselves, but don't forget, they robbed Luo Ning of the other half of the rations. Although this kind of operation here is considered relatively benevolent, it does not mean that Luo Ning will have a good impression of those who rob him of his rations. Furthermore, although Luo Ning didn't have a good impression of Marine, the same was true for these criminals. As for whether the other party was wrongly imprisoned like him, he didn't care. To put it bluntly, he is just a very selfish person, without any messy great ideals. B******************************** D, give us the key. Seeing the door of the cell opened, a group of prisoners rushed over and wanted to rush out, but they were still a step too slow, and the door was closed by Luo Ning before they reached the door. Hey, what's going on? Why did someone come out? The movement here also attracted people from the surrounding cells. When they saw someone going out, everyone was stunned. What's going on? Someone actually escaped. At the same time, Luo Ning, who had left the cell, also appeared under the surveillance phone bug. Such phone bugs are almost all over the entire deep sea prison. Am I dazzled? It seems that a prisoner has escaped. In the surveillance room, the jailer staring at the surveillance suddenly rubbed his eyes. What dazzle? Wait, why did someone come out here? The colleague next to him looked over suspiciously, but then saw a person appearing in the center of the passage on the screen, wearing the black and white striped prison uniform of a prisoner. Raise the alarm. The jailer who came back to his senses quickly sounded the alarm. A prisoner has escaped from cell No. 17. Hurry up and send someone to catch the escaped prisoner. After the alarm was sounded, the jailer quickly determined the area where Luo Ning was located, and then notified the other guards through the phone bug. The jailers who heard the alarm acted quickly, and among them was the existence named Bruguli. A large number of jailers and Bruguli rushed to cell No. 17. I was discovered as soon as I came out, and the reaction was very fast. Glancing at the surveillance phone bug on the wall, Luo Ning was also a little emotional. As soon as he came out on his front foot, he was found by his back foot. Chapter 4 Conditions for obtaining free points. Open black lens bracket. Favorites close black lens bracket. Sure enough, there is a reward for leaving the cell, this time 500. Seeing that the free points cleared on his account turned out to be 500, Luo Ning also confirmed his judgment, and his judgment was indeed correct. Under the actions that I think are free, some special circumstances are required to obtain this kind of reward. Then go for a walk next to the sword tree and see if it's possible to get some rewards. Similarly, the 500 free points are directly divided into 2 to strengthen physical fitness and Reiatsu. After investing these free points, Luo Ning feels that his Reiatsu and physical fitness have become stronger. In particular, the amount of Reiatsu has increased by almost 60% compared to when he just obtained Reiatsu. He can't judge his physical fitness without accurate instrument measurement, but he can still judge the amount of Reiatsu. Guys, can you tell me where the sword forest is? Luo Ning's words directly stunned all the prisoners. Boy, why are you asking sword forest? Do you still want to go to the second floor? Let me tell you, let us all out, and we can help you escape from this ghost place together. Hearing Luo Ning's words, the prisoners couldn't figure out why Luo Ning was going crazy. They can't wait to stay away from that kind of place, but this kid actually wants to go there. You just need to answer my questions. While speaking, Luo Ning released Reiatsu. The effect of Reiatsu is better than Conqueror's Haki, although his Reiatsu amount is not as good as those monsters of Aizen and Haki, but it is still possible to shock these prisoners. Sure enough, as soon as Reiatsu was released, a huge coercion fell instantly, and some people even fainted without the power to resist. This makes me dizzy. So, my Reiatsu shouldn't be considered weak. Since there is no reference, Luo Ning can't determine the extent of his own strength, but he saw that many people were directly stunned by his Reiatsu, so he knew that his Reiatsu was not very weak. Now you can tell me the location of the sword forest. Looking at the prisoner kneeling on the ground panting heavily, Luo Ning asked again. This time, these people told Luo Ning how to get to the sword forest like a bamboo tube pouring beans. What the hell was that just now? Why is it so scary? After Luo Ning left, a part of him who was awake came back to his senses, and asked cautiously. You guys are too ignorant. Although I haven't really seen it, I have heard of it. This should be Conqueror's Haki. It is rumored that only one person in a million will awaken Conqueror's Haki. A prisoner said profusely, hockey is no secret in the sea. Not to mention the terrified prisoners, Luo Ning was already heading towards the sword forest at this moment. Is there any freedom in the deterrence just now? Looking at the 200 free points reappearing in the account, Luo Ning was also thinking about it, and the next step was to go to the sword forest to test it. Advertisement. If he was right, then he should be able to gain freedom points by using his ability to fight her in some special places. As for how much he can get, it is entirely up to him. And it's not that I feel that this is a free thing in my subjective consciousness, but in my subconscious mind. He didn't think too much about intimidating these prisoners just now, but he still got a point of freedom, and the judgment standard was based on his subconscious mind. Hoo ho 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 ho. Just as Luo Ning was heading towards the sword forest, he suddenly heard a strange sound, and then several Bruegelies appeared in front of him. And after seeing him, he let out a strange cry and rushed over with a big axe in hand. Since deterring those prisoners has some freedom, what about you? Is there any way to defeat you? Luo Ning's eyes suddenly lit up. Didn't the test target appear now? Fantasy, Man of Steel, Strange Power. Luo Ning completed the fantasy in a split second, imagining that he has a steel body and terrifying strange powers. Of course, this steel body is definitely not comparable to Superman's, it's just the same name. The moment the fantasy was completed, Luo Ning felt his power soar to a terrifying level. At the same time, Bruegeli had already rushed in front of Luo Ning, and the big axe in his hand fell directly. If it was a jailer, maybe he would catch him alive, but Bruegeli didn't have such a concept. However, after the huge double-edged axe fell on Luo Ning, there was a loud noise. The axe can't cut Luo Ning at all. I didn't feel anything at all. Luo Ning didn't feel any pain at all, but Bruegeli let out strange screams due to the force of the shock. Then try your strength next. Luo Ning did not forget that he also blessed with strange power. Boom. There wasn't any fancy straight punches on Bruegeli's body, and the Bruegeli in front of Luo Ning was blasted without any resistance. To explain the conditions for the protagonist to gain freedom, the first is the freedom in the protagonist's own cognition. This cognition can be subconscious or subjective consciousness. Second, there must be certain specific conditions, such as opening the shackles, leaving the cell, defeating the enemy, and going to some special places. You can't just go there, such as the sword forest, other floors of the big prison, Naval Headquarters, Mariajoy and other special places. Here are some explanations, because I the setting of, so I will explain it here separately, please forgive me. Chapter 5 Useful Visionary Ability Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. Hiss. Is it so powerful? It directly blasted Bruegeli. Looking at the mess on the ground and the other two Bruegelies who barely dared to move, Luo Ning was also stunned. He has no idea how strong his own strength is, so he just shot with all his strength. But this result seemed a bit too exaggerated, and he didn't even feel any hindrance. In other words, the strange power he erupted just now far exceeded Bruegeli's upper limit. As a result, Bruegeli's body was as fragile as a piece of paper in front of him. Moreover, Luo Ning found that he had gained another 300 points of freedom. There are 3 Bruegelies in total. Although only one was killed, the other 2 have lost their fighting spirit and dare not continue to attack at all. So is it considered defeated? Seeing the extra 300 free points, Luo Ning understood that a Bruegeli has 100 free points. Compared with this, those prisoners just now are really good enough. Luo Ning couldn't help complaining when he thought that so many prisoners had contributed 200 freedom points to himself just now. But thinking about it is also true, the prisoners on the first floor are not strong themselves, even if they run out in groups, they will be easily killed by Bruegeli, so this price seems quite reasonable. All the free points were again divided into 2 by Luo Ning and added to physical fitness and Reiatsu, resulting in a lot of improvement in these 2 aspects. And Luo Ning is also heading towards the sword forest. Along the way, I met some jailers and Bruegeli, and were easily defeated by Luo Ning. When he came to the sword forest, Luo Ning also had hundreds of free points in his hands, but he improved his physical fitness and Reiatsu at the moment he got them. Boom. The gate in front of him couldn't stop Luo Ning's fist at all. After blasting the gate open, Luo Ning saw the dark red forest. This is the sword forest. The reason it is dark red is because it is all stained red with blood. At this moment, screams continued to be heard in the sword forest. Whether it is sword tree or needle grass, they are like sharp blades and steel needles. And there were a lot of poisonous insects in it, and there were many jailers around. After the prisoners were driven in, they couldn't stop at all, because the poisonous insects came back to attack them, and the surrounding jailers would keep driving them away from the edge. To be honest, Luo Ning thought Zephyr was weird when watching anime before, and he didn't kill a pirate, claiming that he didn't kill Admiral. But after he arrived in this deep-sea prison, he realized that Zephyr is the most ruthless. Advertisement. Being sent to this deep-sea prison, no matter which floor it is not easy. The prisoners who were sent in were basically dying, and it was basically impossible to escape. They escaped twice, once as a golden lion, and gave up their own 2 feet. One time was Luffy, and this time Luffy escaped because of various foreign aids, and this guy Blackbeard also came in to make troubles, and Naval Headquarters was busy with the decisive battle with Whitebeard and couldn't support it at all. Otherwise, it would be almost impossible for Luffy and the others to escape. Once Marine support arrives, these people will be kept inside. After being sent to prison, it is basically a lifetime thing. So Zephyr is really ruthless, tortured to death and direct death, obviously the latter is lighter. After stepping into the sword forest, Luo Ning also blessed himself with the ability of being invulnerable to all poisons. How is this going? Seeing Luo Ning coming to the sword forest, the jailers in charge of driving the prisoners here were stunned. Attention the jailers below, this is a fugitive, take him down quickly. The jailer in the monitoring room above quickly notified the jailer below. Hearing this, the jailers below ignored the prisoners who were still in the sword forest, and surrounded Luo Ning collectively. Surrender immediately. A group of jailers pointed their guns at Luo Ning. If I were you, I wouldn't be talking nonsense here. Luo Ning was a little amused. Many jailers had shot at him just now, but it had no effect at all, and could not break his defense at all. After leaving a word, Luo Ning immediately struck. The guns in the hands of the jailers deformed suddenly, and the butts of the guns transformed into spikes and pierced their arms. Fantasizing that you have the ability to manipulate metal, I have to say that the ability of a fantasist is really a panacea, that is, the more fantasies you have, the more difficult it is, and you need your body to bear it. But these abilities are not a burden to him now. These jailers gave Luo Ning a lot of income from free points. Now Luo Ning is completely supporting the war with war, using these fellows who give experience to continuously improve. Although he looks very strong now, the real highlight is not these, but Magellan's group. You know, this is just the guarding power on the first floor, and the guards on each floor below will become stronger. But now Luo Ning is getting stronger and stronger, and when they meet Magellan and the others on the fourth floor, it's hard to say who is stronger. Not to mention his ability to defeat Magellan, he can imagine that he has the ability to be invulnerable to all poisons, but the strength of Magellan's poison may not be able to withstand him now, and he needs to strengthen this ability. Chapter 6 Small Goals. Reach the level of Oliba Open Black Lens Bracket Favorites Close Black Lens Bracket. After getting rid of the jailers, Luo Ning entered the sword forest. The moment he stepped in, he gained 1,000 freedom points. Some special places are indeed the key to the trigger. In this way, each of these floors should be able to get some freedom points. Luo Ning was sure when he saw the 1,000 free points entered into the account. Even though he came to these places to obtain free points, it was completely his freedom, so what if he had a purpose? It fits his perception. Then let's set a small goal first, visit the deep sea prison first, and reach the level of Oliba. After Luo Ning consumed these free points, he walked straight towards the big hole leading to the second floor. The needleweed along the way could not pierce his skin at all, and would only be crushed by his stepping on it. At this moment, Luo Ning couldn't help but think of another anime character, Oliba, the character in Blade Tooth, who is also a prisoner, but he regards the prison as his home. Even the treatment inside is surprisingly high, he always feels that he is getting closer to Oliba now, but to be honest, if he also makes the deep sea prison his own home, wouldn't it be great? As long as there is enough power, then doing this kind of thing is not a problem at all. So at this moment, Luo Ning has set a small goal, to achieve the step of Oliba first, and transform Impel down into his own territory. What is this? This guy. What's going on? Why? Needlegrass and sword tree are useless to him. Seeing Luo Ning completely ignoring the sword tree, needle grass, and even the poisonous insects around him, the prisoners in the sword forest were stunned. But at the moment they have little strength. Hunger, fatigue, pain, and excessive blood loss have been tormenting their nerves. After each execution, some people will not be able to survive and stay in the sword forest. He wounded all the jailers. Run. Some of the smarter prisoners' eyes lit up when they saw the seriously injured jailers. Well, you guys reminded me that I can't let you run around. Taking a look at these prisoners, Luo Ning didn't intend to let them go. He didn't like marine, but he also hated pirates. After Luo Ning's voice fell, the ground surged, and rocks rose one after another, finally forming cages to lock the prisoners in. B************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************�e why are you hindering us, you are also a prisoner. The prisoners who were locked up almost collapsed one by one. They thought they could kill those jailers and get out of here, but now they are locked up here by this B*******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************�e why are you hindering us, you are also a prisoner. Luo Ning jumped down from the hole connecting to the second floor without saying a word, completely ignoring the cussing voices behind him. What the hell is going on with this guy? At this moment, the guards in the monitoring room were going crazy, and they really couldn't understand Luo Ning's operation. From the time Luo Ning left the cell to the present, in fact, not many people have been killed. None of the jailers died, only a few of the Brugeli, who had no brains and only knew how to hack. Even the other party didn't release other fugitives to cause chaos, and now they came here and controlled the prisoners who wanted to escape by the way. Those who didn't know thought Luo Ning was one of the jailers. This series of operations really made them completely incomprehensible. Now that Luo Ning jumped directly into the second floor of Wild Beast Hell, shouldn't the fugitive want to escape? Why go deeper? Forget it, report it to the deputy director. This guy didn't cause too much disturbance, and he didn't run out. We can't deal with this lunatic either. Let the people above have a headache. The jailer in the monitoring room was also helpless, and simply handed it over to other people to deal with it. They have reported the matter about Luo Ning, but Magellan, who is the director, is still in the toilet, so the situation has been reported to the deputy director Hanyabal. Have you entered the second floor from the first floor? What is going on with this guy? Hanyabal was leading people to catch up at the moment, but after hearing the report from the jailer in the monitoring room, he was completely dumbfounded. The fugitive went deep, which he had never encountered before. Wait, If this guy makes a big fuss, that guy Magellan will also be affected by this incident. Maybe I can use this to become the director. Hannibal suddenly showed a strange smile. Deputy Director, you have spoken out what's on your mind. Also, if the other party has a certain influence on the director, you, as the deputy director, will also be affected. The jailer next to Hannibal had nothing to say, and the chief of his family often exposed his ambitions. That's fine, but Hannibal's ideas are often different from ordinary people. Everyone knows about Magellan's situation. Now Hannibal is responsible for this matter. Even if something goes wrong, Hannibal should be held accountable. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of Nat Chapter 7 Fight Monsters and upgrade open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Oops, I accidentally exposed my ambition again, but what you said makes sense. Hurry up and catch this strange guy. Hannibal didn't bother to ask any more questions, but led people to continue to drive up. On the other side, Luo Ning has come to the second floor. Compared with the first floor, the second floor has almost no jailers. After all, this floor is wild beast hell, where there are a lot of strange creatures. These creatures are constantly wandering around on the second floor. It's okay to stay in the cell. Once they come out, they are basically giving rations to each other, and it seems that as time goes by, they will become the rations of these monsters sooner or later. Hey, brother, how did you escape from the cell? After arriving on the second floor, they haven't encountered any beasts yet. As a result, the criminals in the cell couldn't help being stunned when they saw Luo Ning, a prisoner wandering outside. Luo Ning didn't even pay attention to the other party, and at this moment a huge centipede rushed out from the corner. It's a combined scorpion. A group of prisoners were trembling with fright, and they all shrank to the innermost part of the cell. Combined scorpions. Remember. After thinking for a while, Luo Ning remembered what this thing was. Although it looked like a huge centipede, each segment of its body was a special scorpion. It usually walks around in the form of a centipede, but it will disperse when encountering enemies. It is a very special creature. But Luo Ning didn't care about these things. He tried to let these guys attack him, but found that these guys couldn't even break through his own defense. There is no way to open my defense at all, not even a little pressure. Kill the scorpions casually, Luo Ning said. This thing is the experience pack. As long as this Impel down does not encounter very strong enemies at the beginning, then each layer is a large experience pack. After killing the scorpion, he also gained a lot of freedom points, and the amount was also a lot. Did you kill it? What kind of defense is this? The combination of scorpions can't break through his skin at all. The prisoners who were watching this scene were stunned, including the guards in the guard room on the second floor. However, due to the movement here, it attracted a large number of beasts. Bagilisk, Maticul are all here. Bagilisk, a special beast, is considered a very strong creature in wild beast hell, followed by Maticula, the jailer on the second floor, who is a very wretched-looking lion. This kind of lion can also imitate other people's speech, but it can only imitate a few simple words. But for the criminals on the second level, these creatures are undoubtedly very terrifying. Even if they are given a key to release them, they dare not come out, because if they cannot beat these beasts, they will be eaten directly as rations. Advertisement. The experience pack is here again. Seeing these monsters, Luo Ning will not panic, he will only be happy. After all, they are here to give him experience. The terrifying cold began to spread, and all the Maticulas were frozen into ice in an instant. As for Bagilisk, this thing was huge in size and much stronger than the Maticulas, so it was not completely frozen. But such cold air also restricted its actions greatly. At the same time, Luo Ning had already arrived beside Bagilisk, and then punched Bagilisk fiercely. Bagilisk's body is very huge, with a huge body tens of meters tall. Standing in front of this guy, Luo Ning looked too small, but strength does not depend on size. Boom. The fist carrying the terrifying power hit Bagilisk's huge body, and a wave of terrifying air exploded. Immediately afterwards, Bagilisk's body was repeatedly blasted away like shells, smashing through several layers of walls before stopping. At this moment, Bagilisk's huge body has been completely distorted and deformed. The force of the punch just now has spread to its whole body. If you observe carefully now, you will find that the bones in Bagilisk's body have been smashed to pieces. It's fake. It's fake. It's just that Bagilisk was beaten like this with one blow. The prisoners who saw this scene were stunned. What kind of strange power is this? In fact, if it was Luo Ning who just came out, there would be no way to defeat this guy so easily, but from the first floor to the second floor, Luo Ning's strength is rapidly improving. This kind of mode of fighting to raise war seems to be playing games to accumulate experience and upgrade. Luo Ning said that it is really cool. Just when Luo Ning was going to find the boss Sphinx on this floor, he suddenly felt a sense of hunger. I'm too excited, but these guys can't eat it. He was so excited to get cheat that he forgot to be hungry. Now the hunger is coming, but Luo Ning has never thought about eating beasts at this level. These guys are all cannibals. Although they are digested after eating, it is not for him to eat people, but I feel nervous what? The fantasist's ability is to make food manifest, but once you stop fantasizing about food, it will disappear. Strictly speaking, it's not very useful. By the way, be free. Luo Ning thought of the point of freedom, which can eliminate the disadvantages of abilities. In this case, can the holy text be modified so that he can directly imagine food that will not disappear? Chapter 8 The Arrival of Hannibal Open Black Lens Bracket Favorite Close Black Lens Bracket With a large amount of free points invested, Leng spent more than half of the free points he harvested on the second floor to complete the modification of this ability. And the most important point, this modification is only the most basic, that is to say, Luo Ning can only use the ability of the holy text to imagine real food and some ordinary clothes. If you want to go further up and dream about some powerful weapons permanently, it will not work. But even that was enough. Luo Ning tried to imagine a chicken leg. The fantasy consumption of permanent existence has also increased a bit, but overall it is not a big deal. Luo Ning looked at the chicken leg in his hand and his eyes were shining. After all, he was a little hungry, and he hadn't had a full meal since he was caught. It's a pity that if you want to fantasize about those special things, it takes too much freedom to fantasize forever. Now I can't support it at all. The things imagined by the fantasists are all false, and it is okay to permanently fix them as real, but the amount of free points consumed is definitely a huge amount. Now just fantasizing about food and other simple daily necessities consumes so many of his freedom points. If you want to fantasize about those special ones, there is still a long way to go. Now Luo Ning doesn't want to spend his free points on this kind of thing. The food is all because he has to. After all, he is still a person, and he will still starve to death if he doesn't eat. Most of the free points are invested in the modification ability, and the remaining part is still divided into two and invested in the increase of Reiatsu and physique. Now Luo Ning is completely in a state of supporting war with war, and this deep-sea prison is simply a perfect hunting ground. At this moment, Luo Ning didn't leave directly, but began to fantasize about eating a lot of food. Due to the strengthening of his body, his appetite was also increasing. The smell of all kinds of food spread, and the eyes of the prisoners who watched were red, and they wanted to grab it and eat it, but they couldn't get out at all. And facing Luo Ning who defeated all these beasts, even if they went out, they didn't have the guts to snatch the food. What kind of ability is this? It can actually create food out of thin air. Little brother, give me some food, and I will tell you the location of a treasure. Several prisoners have been tortured by the smell of food and lost their minds. After all, what they eat here is nothing more than bread, and the quality of the bread is still very poor, and it is impossible to eat enough. Unless it is robbing other people's food, like when Luo Ning was on the first floor, his food was also divided in half. Now what Luo Ning imagined, such as roast chicken and roast duck, and various delicacies before time travel, many of which are delicacies that cannot be seen in this world. For these people's words, Luo Ning didn't care at all, he had no interest in those treasures at all. Now he is only interested in freedom. Advertisement. In this way, Luo Ning spent more than 10 minutes eating, and when he was full, the bones next to him piled up like a hill. If I had such a large amount of food before time traveling, I would probably go bankrupt sooner or later. Luo Ning shook his head. This appetite is really terrifying, but compared to those big eaters in this world, it seems to be a lot worse. I almost forgot that no matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. Everyone, please lie down for a while. Luo Ning was about to leave, but when he suddenly saw the prisoners around him, he couldn't help laughing. These people can also contribute freedom points, although the number is definitely not many, but no matter how few, they are still freedom points. The moment the voice fell, Reiatsu erupted, and the terrifying Reiatsu swept the entire second floor this time. Compared with the first floor, Luo Ning's Reiatsu strength and physical fitness have increased too much. Ba, Conquerors, Hockey. Before passing out, the word flashed through the minds of some who knew Conquerors Hockey, and passed out immediately after. In the entire second floor, no one is still awake. Did everyone faint? It seems that Reiatsu has indeed become much stronger. Seeing all the people in the surrounding cells fall down, no one was spared. Luo Ning was also very satisfied. You know, when he was on the first floor, he couldn't stun all the prisoners. The strength of the prisoners on the second floor was higher than that of the first floor, but even so, they all fainted now. Roar. But in the next second, there was a huge roar in front of him. Sphinx, have you awakened from Reiatsu's oppression? This roar Luo Ning knew who it was as soon as he heard it, the Sphinx, the overlord of the second floor, a super big lion with a very strange appearance. Luo Ning's Reiatsu didn't stun the guy, but woke him up directly. What happened on the second floor? Could it be Conqueror's Hockey just now? At the same time, Hannibal also brought people to the second floor. He also felt the fluctuation just now, but the distance was far away, so they were not greatly affected. Chapter 9 Hannibal with full sense of responsibility open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Tell me, what happened on the second floor? And where is the prisoner? Hannibal yelled at the phone bug, but got no response, as if the guards on the second floor had completely disappeared. In desperation, Hannibal could only ask the guards on the first floor again. I don't know, we also lost contact with the people on the second floor. However, the news from the first floor is also unclear. The entire second floor has now become a lost contact zone. You must know that the phone bug is also a living thing, and it will become invalid after being oppressed by Reiatsu. It's really troublesome. Hannibal hadn't finished speaking when he heard the loud roar of the Sphinx. Deputy Director, it's the voice of the Sphinx, it must have found the fugitive's location. A jailer's eyes lit up. Then hurry up. Without further ado, Hannibal rushed over with his people, but before they got there, they saw a huge lion flying upside down, and the group of them managed to avoid the huge lion. This is exactly the Sphinx. At this moment, the Sphinx was directly blasted back by Luo Ning. Luo Ning also had to say that this guy is indeed very resistant to beating, but he is still not his opponent. Hannibal. Following Luo Ning through the wall, he saw Hannibal and his group. You are a fugitive, right? Get caught immediately. Hannibal waved the weapon in his hand and then gave a warning. Apart from him, the other jailers also raised their weapons, but most of them used guns. I didn't expect to meet you on the second floor. I thought I had to go to the fourth floor to meet you guys. Luo Ning didn't expect Hannibal to come directly to the second floor. He has no dislike for Hannibal, although this guy only wants to be the director. His strength is average, and he looks quite weird, but Hannibal is a person with a strong sense of responsibility. When blocking Luffy, if he lay down at that time, Luffy would not continue to shoot him. But he is the deputy director of Impel Down and has his own responsibilities. It can only be said that both parties are not at fault. As a guard, Hannibal is his duty to stop Luffy, so he is not at fault at all. As for Luffy, in order to save his big brother, he has a different stand. However, Ronnie's overall perception of this product is not bad. His biggest problem is that his strength does not match his position. Hannibal's strength can defeat the clown buggy and others, but the clown buggy has a hard time dealing with a bruggy. His strength is really average. Fourth floor. Although I don't know why you go to the fourth floor, but if you get to the fourth floor, you will face that monster Magellan. Advertisement. Hannibal looked at Luo Ning with some puzzlement. He couldn't understand what Luo Ning was thinking. Why did he want to go down? Magellan, he is also one of my targets. By the way, I have a question for you. What floor is Shiryu on? That's right. Luo Ning pays more attention to Shiryu than Magellan. Although Shiryu's strength is slightly weaker than Magellan's, it's not much weaker. And at this point in time, Shiryu should not have been shut down by Magellan. When Luffy entered Impel Down, Ivan said that it was not long ago that Shiryu was sentenced to death and locked up. It is still a few years before Luffy goes to sea, and Shiryu must not be in prison yet. Shiryu. That guy is always on the fourth floor and rarely comes up. Wait, why am I answering your question? After subconsciously saying the answer, Hannibal was also taken aback, mainly because the way Luo Ning spoke after seeing him was like meeting an old friend, and he didn't look like a fugitive at all. So he himself was led astray. As the fourth floor down. I know. Luo Ning moved his fist, and then he disappeared in the same place, and came in front of Hannibal at an unbelievable speed. So fast. Hannibal found that when Luo Ning rushed over, his body had no time to react. For the sake of the information you provided, let you sleep peacefully. I've dealt with all the beasts on this level, and you won't be in any danger. Luo Ning once again dodged to come behind Hannibal, and then slashed Hannibal on the back of the neck with a knife. Hannibal rolled his eyes and fell to the ground. As for the other jailers, Reiatsu also fell when he was released. Hannibal is very weak. He didn't even bring some jailer beasts, but came with normal jailers. Isn't this a food delivery for him? Freedom is not as good as the Sphinx. Looking at Hannibal lying on the ground, the corner of Luo Ning's mouth twitched. This guy is indeed a parallel importer. Although he has a strong sense of responsibility, it can't change the fact that this guy's strength is poor. Shaking his head, Luo Ning allocated the free points for defeating the likes of Sphinx and Hannibal to Physique and Reiatsu. Physique and Reiatsu have risen a lot again. This feeling of continuous improvement is really cool. Luo Ning moved his body, and his body made a sound like fried beans. Chapter 10 Perception of Crisis. Open black lens bracket for collection. Close black lens bracket. What? Deputy Director Hannibal lost contact. The fugitive has entered the third floor. Sadachin, who was still on the fourth floor, was also stunned after receiving the news. The second floor was completely lost, and even the surveillance phone bug was disabled. He was not discovered until Luo Ning entered the third floor. Yes, the fugitive has already entered the third floor, and now the head of the prison, Saludes, has led people. Before the words were finished, the communication was cut off. What happened here? Could it be that the third floor has also fallen? Even with Xiaosadi's usual Super S personality, he couldn't help but feel a little worried now. The speed of this fugitive's charge was too fast, and every floor was swept over. Now the third layer has also completely lost contact. Has the director come out yet? Sadi-chan couldn't help but ask the jailer next to him. No, as you know, the director spends about 10 hours in the toilet every day, and the time is not up yet. The jailer couldn't help but sigh a little while speaking. Magellan's situation is really weird to the extreme. 10 hours of diarrhea every day, 8 hours of sleep, other working hours and eating time are all concentrated in the remaining 6 hours, which can only be said to be really weird. It seems that you are in trouble. I heard that some prisoners have escaped. Just when Sadachin was going to the jailer beast to intercept Luo Ning, a voice suddenly came, which made Sadachin's body stiffen uncontrollably. Shiryu, why are you here? Although Sadi-chan has a Super S personality and likes to torture prisoners, he can't get along with Shiryu. Because what Shiryu likes is pure killing, it can be said that Shiryu doesn't get along with more than 90% of the people here. So Shiryu simply didn't bother to care about these guys, but stayed on other floors, trying not to meet these guys, so as not to upset everyone. But just now he received the news from the jailer that a prisoner escaped from the first floor, and the prisoner did not go up, but went down. When he received the news, it was the time when Luo Ning entered the second floor. Don't worry about why I came here, how is the situation? Shiryu was too lazy to say anything, but asked about Luo Ning. The other party has already gone to the third floor. After Hannibal took people to the second floor, he lost contact. The connection on the third floor just now was also suddenly interrupted. It is estimated that it has almost been broken through. Advertisement. Although Sati-chan can't deal with Shiryu very well, Shiryu is also the highest combat power here now. Magellan is still fighting the toilet, so I can only tell Shiryu these things. Well, it looks like I'm here in the right place, but why is this kind of prisoner placed on the first floor? Shiryu wondered. A prisoner who could easily rush to the third floor and even lost contact with the third floor was locked in the first floor. No matter how you look at it, it's weird. I'm also puzzled. We've already identified the prisoner. The other party is obviously just a young man who has killed several Marine soldiers. He should have hidden his strength. I don't know why the other party came to Impel down. Although Sati-chan thought about whether the other party came to save people, after all, he went down with all his heart and hidden strength. The probability of the other party coming to save people was very high, but it is not so easy to save people. Not to mention the two iron walls of Impel down guarding here, followed by Naval Headquarters. The support from Naval Headquarters is quite fast due to the existence of the Gateway of Justice. The other party's desire to rescue someone is undoubtedly a dream. Even the four emperors would not dare to rush into Impel down casually. Okay. So this idea was extinguished by her as soon as it came out. Whatever he is for, just turn him into a dead man. Shiryu's eyes showed a trace of killing intent, and this killing intent also made Sati-chan next to him couldn't help but tremble. At the same time, in the third floor, Luo Ning, who directly stunned a group of prisoners, guards, and phone bugs with Reiatsu, couldn't help shaking his head. The income on the third floor is not as good as that on the second floor. After all, although the prisoners on the third floor are stronger, there are no beasts here, and the strength of the jailers is also average. Therefore, the income of this layer is not even as good as that of the second layer. But when Luo Ning came to the entrance from the third floor to the fourth floor, he suddenly felt a creepy feeling. This feeling, there is a strong enemy waiting below, should it be called crisis perception. After coming to the third floor, Luo Ning met Hanyabal on the second floor to prevent accidents. These people who are impelled down will not wait for him to pass at their posts, so he fantasizes about the ability to perceive crises. At this moment, this ability has shown its role. Just in case, go to the fifth floor first. Luo Ning did not go directly to the fourth floor, but left the entrance of the passage, and then his body sank directly through the rocky ground. This is also a fantasy ability. Chapter 11 Rich Fifth Layer Open Black Lens Bracket Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. Luo Ning hadn't used this trick before. It was too easy for him to pass through these floors. He could use his ability or even brute force to directly break through the floors, and he could do it easily. It's just that his purpose is to gain experience, and this big prison has been regarded as his own, so naturally he won't destroy it too seriously, so he used the passage before. But now it seems that they can't continue to walk through the channel. The sense of crisis below is too strong. Luo Ning doesn't want to gamble, so he simply goes to other places to gain experience, and then meet these people after his strength improves a little. After passing through the fourth floor, Luo Ning came directly to the fifth floor. It's really cold. Although the body can resist this kind of cold, it needs to consume a lot of calories. Luo Ning, who came to the fifth floor, also felt this terrifying coldness. Although he could resist it, he needed to consume calories. The prisoners held here are all prisoners with bounties of over 100 million. At first, they estimated that they could barely withstand the cold, but as time went by, they couldn't hold on without food to replenish the lost energy. Some of them will enter a state of frozen suspended animation. For example, Bond Waldo has been frozen here for 30 years. Of course, not everyone can withstand such freezing. There are very few who can survive this kind of absolute freezing. Fantasy, freeze immunity. Luo Ning activated his ability, directly ignoring this kind of freezing. Although he can support it with his physical fitness, it will cause unnecessary consumption, so just imagine an ability to be immune to this kind of freezing. In fact, it is also possible to simply use Reiatsu to form a protective layer, but the consumption is much greater than the ability of the visionary. Someone is coming. Is it the jailer? No, you are not wearing the clothes of the jailer. Who are you? Someone noticed the arrival of Luo Ning, and the prisoner on Luo Ning had also changed into a nice tracksuit. His presence seemed out of place here. Let me see if you can withstand my Reiatsu shock. Without responding to these people, Luo Ning released his own Reiatsu. Due to the environment of the fifth floor, there is no surveillance phone bug installed here, so no one knows that he came to the fifth floor. Reiatsu was released, and a mountain of pressure fell on the prisoners. Conqueror's Hockey. The pirates imprisoned here all have bounties exceeding 100 million. Although they are not as exaggerated as those on the sixth floor, their strength should not be underestimated. This shocking wave of Reiatsu only made a small number of people faint. As expected of the big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million, even though they have consumed a lot of strength here, their mental strength is also higher than that of other prisoners. They only fainted a small number of people, but the benefits are very good. Advertisement. Looking at his free point income, Luo Ning is very satisfied. The prisoners here are of high quality, and they are given a lot of free points. Why are you releasing Conqueror's Hockey here? Who the hell are you? What do you want? Those who didn't faint were also stunned. There were several Conqueror's Hockey on the sixth floor, but it was different on the fifth floor, almost none. After all, something like Conqueror's Hockey can only be awakened, not learned, and there is only 1 in a million people. Don't look at the later stage of pirates, it seems that anyone can play Conquerors, but that period was already the peak duel. Those who can participate in that kind of battle, which one does not stand out from countless people. So it looks very overcrowded, but don't forget the population base of One Piece world. I can't get dizzy, so what about using special abilities? Luo Ning fantasized about the ability to stun sound waves. The fantasist's ability is too heaven-defying, which is actually because of Gremmy's character. Otherwise, playing a roundabout tactic and using various abilities can completely bring down Kenpachi at that time. But Gremmy used brute force at the time, so he lost in the end. He didn't bring out the real power of the visionary at all, and Luo Ning didn't dare to say how well he used it. After all, he was just a person, and he couldn't guarantee that he could develop a certain ability to the limit. All I can say is to use it as much as possible. The dizzy sound wave was released, and the sound spread rapidly, one criminal after another fell down. Reiatsu's deterrence is actually just the most basic deterrence. After the ability is enhanced, these people will naturally be unable to bear it. There are also a large number of army wolves around who were directly fainted. These army wolves are also ferocious beasts, but they are not placed on the second floor because they are too ferocious and there are too many of them. Individual strength, these army wolves can't beat most of the beasts on the second floor, but there are too many of these guys. In this situation of attacking in groups, even the Sphinx can't bear it, so it will be swallowed up. It is also because of this that these army wolves are assigned to the fifth floor instead of the second floor. Before, there were people who were relatively close and were directly stunned by Reiatsu. These guys did not have the strength to resist Reiatsu, but now the sound waves have spread to the entire fifth floor, so they are also stunned by the way, and there is no need to continue to use Reiatsu to stun them. Chapter 12 The Ascension of Horror Open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Good guy, this income is much more than the one I earned on the previous floors. Luo Ning's eyes widened when he saw the free points he had entered into the account. This level provided him with tens of thousands of free points, which was much more terrifying than the previous total. Not much to say, Luo Ning directly spread these free points on physical fitness and Reiatsu. A large number of free points poured in, and both physique and Reiatsu have grown extremely terrifying. At this moment, Luo Ning felt that the muscles on his body were constantly surging, and the Reiatsu was released directly. The entire fifth floor was completely shrouded in his terrifying Reiatsu, and the fluctuations even directly spread to the fourth floor, the fifth and sixth floors. Shiryu and others on the fourth floor were still guarding at the entrance, but a terrifying pressure swept across directly. Some ordinary jailers turned their eyes white and fell down. The jailer beasts were also shivering in shock. Although they didn't faint, they didn't have much fighting power in this state. What was that just now? Sadie-chan was also covered in cold sweat, she was half kneeling on the ground now, her legs were trembling. Such a terrifying conqueror's haki came from the floor below. Can those old guys below release such a terrifying haki? Shiryu was startled, and he himself was a little affected. Undoubtedly, some of the prisoners below do have conqueror's haki, but releasing haki consumes a lot of money, and these people cannot have enough food. The food is just for them to survive. The strength to release haki is gone, how could he release such a terrifying conqueror's haki? What happened just now? At this point, even Magellan could only resist the urge to come out with diarrhea. Originally, he thought that Shiryu's presence shouldn't be a big problem, but this coercion directly scared him out. Director. Is this the end? Sadie-chan was also taken aback, his director ran out unexpectedly, isn't it time yet? Such a horrible conqueror's haki, how can I still stay, what happened? Magellan asked, holding his stomach with one hand. I don't know. The sudden fluctuation came from the floor below. As for the fugitive, it's a bit strange. The third floor has lost contact, but the other party hasn't come down yet. Advertisement. Shiryu is also very puzzled, if he wants to go down, he can only go from here. If the guard on the first floor is not still awake and reporting the situation at any time, he would have thought that the guard ran straight up. Could it be that this guy went to the fifth floor or even the sixth floor? If it's conqueror's haki, then the loss of contact on other floors can be explained, but how is this possible? Sadie-chan had her own guess, but she couldn't understand how Luo Ning went directly from the third floor to the fifth or sixth floor. If it is said that it is possible to directly penetrate the ground of the floor, this is indeed possible, but the fourth floor has no response at all to such a big movement, which is completely unreasonable. It doesn't matter, just go to the fifth floor and have a look. Magellan didn't care so much, and directly led people to the fifth floor. At the same time, on the 5.5th floor, there is a fairyland. Was that conqueror's haki just now? It came from the upper floor, and it stunned so many of us across the floor. Ivankov looked at the people lying on the ground here, the weak ones had already fallen down, and almost 1/3 of them were awake, but they were more or less affected, including Ivankov himself. I'll go and have a look. Inazuma spoke. No, Magellan and the others must have been alarmed by such a big commotion. Let me go. If I want to leave, they won't be able to stop me, and there's no need to have any conflicts with them. In the end, Ivankov decided to go by himself. He is the most powerful and can quickly avoid danger. If it is Inazuma, he may still be found and have to fight in the end. After hearing Ivankov's words, Inazuma didn't say anything more. He was very aware of the gap between his own strength and Ivankov's, so he just listened to others now. The sixth floor is also very lively at the moment. Whose conqueror's haki is this? It's so strong that it spreads to the sixth floor. No one fainted on the sixth floor. After all, the people here are very strong, and the next floor is separated, so after spreading here, although Reiatsu's effect is still there, it can't stun the people here. It seems that Impel Down has been silent for so many years, and finally encountered something interesting. The prisoners here are all lawless people, and all of them are madmen. Most people even dare to shout in front of Magellan and others, even if they are poisoned by Magellan, they dare to continue to shout. It can only be said that it is almost impossible to convince these madmen to be obedient. Chapter 13 Too cautious open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Why is there another free point? Did the Reiatsu just now spread to other floors? Luo Ning looked at the extra free points in his account and was a little speechless. Just now, because of the soaring power, Reiatsu exploded in an instant, and it seemed to affect many people. The amount of free points he has entered into the account is quite a lot. It has spread to other floors. I guess Magellan and the others will be here too. Now I should not be afraid of them. Luo Ning is very optimistic about his current strength. He can only say that he has improved so much in one breath, and he is indeed a little inflated. Taking a step back, even if he is not the opponent's opponent, with Luo Ning's current strength, those guys who escaped can't stop him at all. The guards on the 5th floor have all passed out. After Magellan and others came to the 5th floor, they found that all the guards here had passed out. It should be here, go in and have a look. Magellan led a group of people quickly into the 5th floor, and now the group basically put on cotton coats. There is no way. Why is the temperature on this floor really a big problem? Even if they can resist it, it will cause unnecessary consumption. They are not prisoners, so why should they resist the cold? The army wolves are all down. It seems that the entire floor was affected by the conqueror's haki just now. After walking a few steps, everyone found some army wolves fainted on the ground. These army wolves were all over the 5th floor, so to speak, everywhere. It's right in front. My sense of knowledge has already perceived the other party. Magellan said suddenly. He sensed Luo Ning, who was not restrained at all. Didn't you run away? The time we rushed over was enough for the other party to escape. How courageous you are. Shiryu's eyes flashed red, and his sense of knowledge also responded. The other party didn't leave, or even move, as if he was waiting for them to pass by. Such behavior made him very unhappy. Is this underestimating them? No matter what, let's go and catch the fugitive first. Magellan stopped talking nonsense, and took the lead directly, and the others followed. Now, except for the defeated ones, all other famous people have arrived. After walking for a while, Magellan and the others saw Luo Ning sitting on the ground waiting for them to come over. Are you the prisoner Luo Ning who escaped from the 1st floor? What is your purpose? Seeing Luo Ning's attitude of not caring about the coldness of the 5th floor at all, even after they arrived, Magellan couldn't help but frown. It's the first time I met Magellan. This battle is really big enough. Advertisement. Looking at the group of people who came here, Luo Ning spoke. Stop talking nonsense. What is your purpose? Before Magellan finished his sentence, Shiryu had already drawn out his own thunderstorm and rushed forward. He was not Magellan. He would not talk nonsense with prisoners. Although he didn't know what Luo Ning's purpose was, he knew one thing, that is, as long as people died. So before Magellan finished speaking, he pulled out the thunderstorm and rushed up. However, when he slashed Luo Ning with his knife, he found that his knife could not pierce Luo Ning's body. You people, can't you finish talking before you start fighting? Luo Ning shook his head, and Shiryu was startled at the moment. Although he didn't use all his strength for the slash just now, he was directly resisted by the opponent's body, and there was no armament haki. He was really startled now. He wanted to take back his knife, but he suddenly found that no matter how hard he tried, the knife couldn't be taken back, as if it had become one with Luo Ning. Boom. Shiryu was about to continue to forcefully retract the knife, but Luo Ning kicked out directly, and Shiryu was kicked flying without even reacting. Shiryu. Magellan and the others were surprised to see Shiryu being kicked into the air by the opponent, and even his body was filled with air waves. They did not expect Shiryu to be so easily deflated. No. It's okay, I'm careless. Shiryu exerted all his strength, nailed his feet into the snow, and pulled out a long trace. It took a lot of effort to stabilize his body. At this moment, he also felt a sharp pain in his abdomen, but it wasn't too disturbing. The moment he was hit just now, he used armament haki. Although he didn't completely block the terrifying force, at least he didn't suffer too much injury. It seems that I am a little too cautious. At this moment, another voice sounded, and then a figure slowly emerged from the ground, and this person was Luo Ning. Two. Sadi-chan exclaimed, because there were indeed two Luo Ning at this moment. One of them was Luo Ning who fought Shiryu, and the other was Luo Ning who just emerged from the ground. Two people who look exactly alike. Chapter 14 Magellan's Nemesis open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. 2. Impossible. Could it be someone with the ability to clone fruit? After taking a look, Magellan didn't think there would be two Luo Ning, so this should be some kind of special devil fruit ability. This avatar was actually created by Luo Ning with the ability of a visionary, but now he can't create a lot of avatars like Gremmy, he can barely create one. And gave the clone the strange power and steel body that should have been given to him, and let the clone meet the enemy. Although he felt that he should not be afraid of Magellan, Shiryu and others, but just in case, he still kept a hand. It turned out that he seemed to be a little too cautious. These two people are no longer their opponents. Luo Ning directly withdrew his avatar. Although the avatar could retain its strength, he still couldn't imagine that both of them possessed a series of abilities such as a man of steel and strange power at the same time. Instead of continuously dispersing and weakening one's own abilities, it is better to integrate them into one. The avatar disappeared, and Thunderstorm also fell into Luo Ning's hands, but Luo Ning threw the knife aside after taking a look. First, he didn't use the knife, and second, the knife was too long. He is about 1.9 meters tall, but this knife is much longer than him. You know this knife is almost the same height as Shiryu. How tall is Shiryu? Sanmi, the people in Pirate World are a bunch of weirdos. Seeing his favorite knife being thrown directly on the snow by the other party, Shiryu was even more angry at the moment. There is no way, some swordsmen are indeed like this, and they are addicted to knives. Shiryu also cares about his own knives very much. Poison Dragon. At this time, Magellan suddenly made a move, and several poisonous dragons transformed into dark purple liquid rushed towards Luo Ning. Retreat. Do not enter the director's attack range. Sadi-chan and the others retreated quickly. Magellan's poison is indistinguishable from friend to foe. Once it is touched, although there is an antidote, it will be very uncomfortable. Sneak attack. Magellan, you can do such small things. Luo Ning said while avoiding the attack of the poisonous dragon. To deal with criminals, there is no need to talk about morality, I just need to take you back. Magellan didn't care so much, the poisonous dragon kept attacking Luo Ning. To be honest, the threat you pose to me is even worse than Shiryu. Luo Ning shook his head. Although Magellan is stronger than Shiryu, what makes him really difficult to deal with is his poison. In terms of physical attack, he is not Shiryu's opponent. Advertisement. And what about Luo Ning? He simply ignored the toxin, and had imagined himself the ability to be immune to the toxin. At this moment, Luo Ning punched very simply, hitting the head of a poisonous dragon, and the poisonous dragon didn't explode directly. Luo Ning also didn't feel anything wrong with his fist, and had completely ignored Magellan's poison. Immediately afterwards, Luo Ning dodged a few more times. His current speed was in a state of fantasizing about super speed. The strange power, super speed, poison immunity, steel body and other abilities raised his strength to an unbelievable level. Ignored that fellow Magellan's poison. Shiryu retrieved his knife, but he felt bad after seeing Magellan's poison being ignored. Magellan's poison is everyone's nemesis, and now there is a person who can defeat Magellan. Now Shiryu dare not go up to participate in the battle, because Magellan's toxin does not distinguish between friend and foe. Once he rushes up, he will also be poisoned, so Magellan's battles are usually singled out, and no one can cooperate with this guy. Impossible, even I can't bear my fierce poison, how can you ignore it? Magellan himself couldn't accept this scene. You know, he, a person who ate the fruit, couldn't resist his own poison. He would have diarrhea for 10 hours a day, but now someone actually ignored his own poison. Once his poison is ignored, he is now equivalent to a tiger with no teeth, and a swordsman without a weapon. Poison Giant Soldier Judgment of Hell. A large amount of venom gushed out from Magellan's body, quickly forming a huge poisonous skeleton. It's just a show. Although it has some strength, Shiryu's slashes can't break through my defense. Why do you think your poison giant can break through my defense? Luo Ning shook his head. Don't look at this thing as a bluff, but it's just that. All of Magellan's tricks rely on toxins, and they don't have much physical lethality. So this trick is still useless to Luo Ning, it is just a paper tiger in front of him. At this moment, Magellan's face was livid, obviously he didn't want to believe that someone could really be immune to his own poison, and now the poison giant was the strongest poison he could use. If it is still useless, then he is really not an opponent. The huge fist of the poison giant soldier blasted at Luo Ning. Boom. However, Luo Ning jumped onto the poisonous skeleton's arm in a dodge, and came in front of the skeleton with a dodge, smashing the huge skeleton with a punch. Chapter 15 Magellan and Shiryu who failed miserably open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. With a punch that exploded the huge skeleton, Luo Ning didn't stop, but fell straight down, and then kicked Magellan fiercely. There is a huge gap in body size between the two. Magellan is 4.9 meters tall, almost 5 meters tall. Even Shiryu is short in front of him, let alone Luo Ning who is only 1.9 meters tall. But Luo Ning's feet are not so easy to catch. At this moment, Magellan's fist is covered with armament hockey. Although the poison is useless, he is still a strong man with a reputation. Hockey will naturally be able to, but he is not a special grandmaster to hockey, and even weaker than others some. It's not Magellan's fault either. You know, this guy has diarrhea for 10 hours a day, sleeps for 8 hours, and with his working hours, he has very little time to exercise every day. Naturally, he can't exercise hockey when he has diarrhea, so he can only develop his ability continuously. Although hockey can do it, his hockey is very weak. Such armed colors are like paper in front of Luo Ning. With this kick, the ground suddenly collapsed, and a big hole was directly smashed out, instantly blasting away the compartments from the 5th to the 6th floors. Fortunately, the 5th and 5th floors were not here, otherwise Ivankov would have to advance out of the mountain. What's the matter? Something fell. On the 6th floor, the prisoners are also very curious about what happened at this moment, because there has been a lot of movement on the upper floor, and a hole was punched in this floor, and then something seemed to fall. It's Magellan, the guy's been beaten. A prisoner who was relatively close saw Magellan who had lost consciousness. Magellan couldn't block Luo Ning's attack at all, and he was seriously injured and knocked unconscious with this kick. It can only be said that after removing the poison, Magellan's strength is really hard to describe. What? Magellan defeated. The poison B********* D defeated. Countless prisoners rioted after hearing this sentence. You must know that they are usually attacked by Magellan with poison, and they hate Magellan too much, but there is no way. They're prisoners, locked in a cage, and there's nothing they can do about it being attacked by Magellan. No wonder they're not happy to hear that Magellan has been defeated. Just as they were clamoring, a slash fell directly from above. However, Luo Ning directly blocked it with his hand, and with a pinch, the slash of more than 10 meters was crushed. After the slash was crushed, Shiryu also jumped down directly from above. The knife in his hand had already covered armament this time, and Haki slashed straight at Luo Ning. When? Advertisement. However, this time, it was the same as before, not breaking the defense at all. Is it useless to cover armament Haki? Shiryu's eyes widened too. He didn't hide his clumsiness this time. Haki, he used all his strength, but still couldn't break the defense. This is simply outrageous to the extreme. It doesn't break the defense, but it makes me feel a little pain. Luo Ning also has a certain positioning for his own strength. With his current strength, it is estimated that he should be able to fight against Admiral, but it is not clear whether he can beat the opponent. Are you kidding? It just made you feel a little pain. Shiryu felt that his self-esteem was about to be trampled down, and his face was already distorted, as if wearing a mask of pain. Just tell the truth, please lie down too. Holding Shiryu's thunderstorm, Luo Ning directly punched Shiryu's ribs, breaking more than a dozen of Shiryu's ribs. And Shiryu also spurted out a mouthful of old blood, and the whole person fell directly to the ground. Although he was still conscious, he also lost his fighting power. Fortunately, I reacted quickly and almost sprayed blood on me. Luo Ning looked at Shiryu with some disgust, and Shiryu was almost depressed and spurted out another mouthful of old blood. Who the hell is this? Shiryu has also been defeated. The double wall of Impel down has fallen. The boy over there, no matter who you are, let Laozi out. After Laozi comes out, there will be benefits for you. Even Laozi can recruit you as Laozi's crew. At this time, the prisoners on the 6th floor kept shouting. Luo Ning couldn't help but roll his eyes at this. Should it be said that he is from the 6th floor? After seeing his own strength, he dared to say such words. But it's not a big problem in Pirate World. There are a lot of stunners, and the biggest one is the B********* D named Jack. Really dare to provoke anyone. At that time, Sengoku Fujitora and the others didn't kill Jack directly because they didn't want to fight Kaido directly. After all, Jack's identity is quite special. As one of the 3 disasters, once he is killed by Marine, another war will follow. That's why Jack survived at that time. Otherwise, with Jack's strength, even if he had 10 lives, he wouldn't be able to survive in the face of such a lineup. Chapter 16 The Super Large Experience Package on the 6th floor. Open black lens bracket collection. Close black lens bracket. Shut up for Laozi. Luo Ning was so d off by these bastards. He invested all the free points he earned again into his physique and Reiatsu, and then a terrifying blue beam of light erupted, and Reiatsu had condensed to the point of forming a Reiatsu beam of light. The terrifying Reiatsu fluctuations spread in all directions, and Sati-chan and others above had no time to react and were directly stunned. As for the 6th floor, you are locked with all the extremely powerful guys, but Luo Ning, who has strengthened again, his Reiatsu has reached an extremely terrifying level. This is the horror of raising war with war. Coming here from the 1st floor, Luo Ning's strength has changed from a rookie to comparable to Admiral, and now it has been strengthened again, making it even more terrifying. Terrifying Reiatsu fluctuations spread throughout the 6th floor. Most of the prisoners rolled their eyes and fell down. Only some powerful beings were still awake. The Conqueror's Haki just now, but why does it feel so strange? After the explosion at close range, it doesn't seem to be Haki again. Bullet and others turned their attention to this direction. There are also people who have awakened Conqueror's Haki here, and he, Bullet, is aware of something wrong with this coercion because he has Conqueror's Haki himself. It doesn't seem to be Conqueror's Haki, but it is stronger than Conqueror's Haki. It's another big account, but there are still so many people awake. Should it be called the 6th floor? Seeing some prisoners who were still awake, Luo Ning was also a little emotional. These people are all famous people in the outside world, but it is a pity that they are all locked up here. But Marine's people also have brain problems. Why not kill this threat? Those on the upper floors are constantly tortured, and they won't cause too many problems, but the people here are different. They are all madmen and strongmen from the past. Once these people escape, then there will be big troubles one after another. Not much to say, just look at Bullet. The war that Bullet started after he went out was quite terrifying. If you don't kill this kind of threat, you will be locked up in this Impel down. The people in Marine really got their heads kicked by donkeys. But speaking of Bullet, the way Luo Ning looks at Bullet is also a bit weird. The main reason is that Bullet's character design is too strange. In Impel down, although the prisoners will not starve to death directly, it is impossible to feed them with food. Especially on the 6th floor, there is not much physical strength at all. Those who have been locked up here for a long time have already lost a lot of strength, but what about Bullet? It is said that this product has become stronger during Impel down, and this product still has strength training. This is outrageous. Well, you need to consume energy for exercising. The stronger the person, the bigger the appetite. Advertisement. But what about Bullets? He didn't have much to eat, but he became stronger through training in Impel down, which shouldn't be too outrageous. Anyway, Luo Ning really doesn't understand this setting. Boy, what are you staring at me for? Bullet was also a little uncomfortable when he saw Luo Ning staring at him, and asked. Nothing, just look at the descendants of the famous devil. Luo Ning shook his head. Bullet strength is undoubtedly at the admiral level. After all, he was also a legend back then, but nay, he met the theater version of Luffy. The theater version of Wong Luffy is fighting whoever he sees. But among these legends, the worst is Golden Lion. Golden Lion was directly kicked and disabled by Luffy. Although it attracted the power of lightning at that time, Golden Lion could easily cut off Luffy's leg. However, in the end, the Golden Lion was kicked to waste. Look at the 5 Emperor Bats that appeared in the later stage. One person pressed Luffy Zoro and 2 people played for half an episode. Well, this is actually just the animation group. But it is also very awesome. By the way, there is one thing I need all of you to help me with. Luo Ning suddenly smiled, but this smile made the sober prisoners feel that something was wrong. What do you want to do? Bullet asked. It's nothing, I just want to ask you to sleep for a while, it won't affect your current life. After Luo Ning finished speaking, he activated the stun sound wave. After this wave, there were still a few people who were awake, and their mental strength was too strong, so they couldn't be brought down directly by this method. But there are only a few people left. Among them are the Red Earl and Bullet, but naturally Luo Ning will not let go of these main dishes. Although it seemed a bit disgraceful to knock the other party out like this, but what he wanted was not glory. So knock these people out one by one. Although these people feel a little ashamed, they can't resist. After all, they have seastone restrictions on their bodies, and they don't have much physical strength. Just now they resisted a wave of Reiatsu shock and a wave of waves. Naturally, he couldn't resist Luo Ning anymore. Since then, all the free points in the entire Impel Down have been looted by Luo Ning, and now the free points in his hand are full again. Chapter 17 Naval Headquarters Response Open Black Lens Bracket Favorites Close Black Lens Bracket. It's a good harvest, but I still need to strengthen my Reiatsu and physique. Although Luo Ning already has admiral-level combat strength, this Impel Down should have been reported to Naval Headquarters now, and Luo Ning will face Naval Headquarters next. He didn't have any good feelings for Marine, after all, he was sent in by Marine. Marine's strong players are not comparable to Impel Down. To be honest, neither Magellan nor Shiryu has admiral-level combat power. Magellan's toxin has a certain advantage over others, so it seems to be very powerful. But facing Luo Ning, his ability was completely useless. Not to mention Shiryu, facing Admiral is also the end of being unilaterally slaughtered. And how many Marine Admirals exist? Needless to say, 3 Admirals, Sengoku and Garp, even though their strength has declined a lot due to their age, they probably still retain Admiral-level combat power. There are also several Admiral candidates and a group of Vice Admirals. This force, if Luo Ning does not add the current free points to the main force, it will be difficult to compete with the opponent. Therefore, this largest sum of money must be used to enhance strength. Relying on the ability of the visionary to match his current physique and Reiatsu, it should be enough to deal with the next Naval Headquarters. It is also impossible for Naval Headquarters to send all 3 admirals directly, so the next step is still to support the battle. With the help of Marine, you will become stronger and can be unscrupulous in this world. I glanced at Magellan and Shiryu, but Luo Ning didn't care. These 2 people have strong resilience. They can't die from this injury, but the jailer who was stunned above can't. Luo Ning didn't intend to kill these people either, so after returning to the 5th floor, he directly strung these people together with ropes and dragged them to the entrance. At least he didn't have to worry about them freezing to death. What kind of monster is this guy? He actually pushed the entire Impel down horizontally. Ivankov, who has been hiding in the dark, is not feeling very well now. He was also affected by this Reiatsu, but fortunately he did not faint, but his combat power was also weakened by this coercion. He guessed that everyone in his E paradise must have passed out by now. In fact, Luo Ning has discovered the existence of Ivankov a long time ago. Luo Ning has a sense of crisis and a sense of Reiatsu. Although people in this world do not have Reiatsu, they do have souls, and Reiatsu perception can also sense the fluctuations of the soul, and the stronger the soul, the more violent the fluctuations and the stronger the soul breath will be. So Luo Ning could clearly sense the existence of Ivankov. To be honest, if it were someone else, Luo Ning would definitely not let go of this experience package. Although it is not much for him now, no matter how small a mosquito is, it is meat. Advertisement. But the only thing he doesn't want to see is Ivankov, it's disgusting. Luo Ning can't understand the wonderful culture of this world. There are ladyboys in other worlds, but there are too many ladyboys in this world, and even formed a country, and Ivankov, who ate the hormone fruit, can turn men into women, women be a man. All in all, thinking of Ivankov makes Luo Ning sick to his stomach, so it's better not to meet this guy. There is such a big problem in Impel Down, Marine will definitely send someone over next time, we have to talk to Long. Ivankov returned to his fairy paradise. The 5.5 floors were launched by Mori, one of the commanders of the Revolutionary Army, but the Revolutionary Army had not yet appeared at that time. Titans live much longer than humans. Mori can escape from here, and Ivankov can naturally, but he is now in hibernation, waiting for the dragon to start to move before going out to respond. In the original book, the arrival of Luffy caused him to lead people out of the deep sea prison in advance. He naturally also has a way to contact the dragon. Not to mention Ivankov, when Luo Ning sent these people to a safe place, Naval Headquarters was also discussing about Impel Down. In the beginning, with Magellan and the others there was no need to ask for help from Naval Headquarters. But things got worse and worse, and the people on the first floor soon found that all the connections on the lower floors were broken. Even Magellan and others couldn't get in touch, so they could only ask Naval Headquarters for help. After such a big thing happened, Sengoku immediately summoned Vice Admiral and Admiral who were still in the headquarters after getting the news. The Admiral staying here at the moment is Aokiji. Kizaru was sent out by Sengoku because of his fast speed. As for Akainu, he is a restless guy, and Sengoku also has a headache when he sees Akainu, so Aokiji is the only admiral staying in the headquarters now. Marshal, what happened? So many of us were summoned at once. Aokiji asked a little puzzled, unless something big happened, it wouldn't be so exciting. Impel down sent a message just now. The director Magellan, the deputy director Hanyable and the guards on all floors have all lost contact. Sengoku said the news he just got with a serious face. Chapter 18 Support open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Magellan they lost contact. Everyone's face changed, they knew how troublesome Magellan and Shiryu were, and now not only Magellan and Shiryu, but also other deputy directors have lost contact. That's outrageous enough. The specific situation is that the guards on the first floor passed on the news about a prisoner. Sengoku quickly told everyone the news he got, but after listening, everyone felt that it was a bit of a fantasy. This is completely unreasonable. If you want to completely break through Impel down, even Admiral is not easy with one person's strength. How could you send such a prisoner to the first floor? Mole asked a little puzzled. To be able to break through Impel down, it must have Admiral level combat power. But now there are people with Admiral level combat power in the sea who can be counted on one hand, and they are all famous people. As for those who live in seclusion, why do they go to Impel down to do things? There is no reason. Now is not the time to talk about this. The opponent's information on Impel down has been given to me. I have already sent someone to investigate. Now put other things aside. Aokiji, you lead the team to support. Sengoku opened his mouth and said, although this matter is full of doubts, even if the guards of Impel down had not repeatedly assured him, he would not have believed it. How could there be such a nonsense thing? An existence comparable to Admiral was caught in Impel down, and was imprisoned on the first floor. Now that he came out, he went to the lower floor. It seems that there is no other possibility except to save people. But the guards sent another message. Apart from killing some of the ferocious creatures from Impel down, the other guards were injured at most, and none of them died. The other party even controlled some criminals. He even suspected that he was listening to the story, but now Magellan and the others couldn't be contacted. No matter what, Impel down couldn't be lost, so he had to go to support. Garp, Gion, you guys should go with me. If the people from the 6th floor run out, you can stop them with your help. In addition to Aokiji, Sengoku dispatched Garp and 2 admiral candidates, along with a large number of troops in the headquarters of Vice Admiral. There is no way, this matter is not small. Although the other party doesn't seem to have the idea of releasing the prisoners, God knows what will happen. What if the prisoners on the 6th floor are really released? You must take precautions. I know, let's go now. Aokiji nodded. As for Garp, he didn't say much this time. Although he is usually unreliable, Garp clearly prioritized at critical moments. In this way, Naval Headquarters reinforcements began to quickly gather, and then a dozen warships quickly moved towards the Gate of Justice. Advertisement. This kind of lineup has completely surpassed Buster Call, but the only difference is that the fleet will not casually launch a devastating blow to an area, while Buster Call is an attack that does not show any emotion at all. What a weird guy. In order to save time, Aokiji and others read the information on the ship. Although the identity of Luo Ning has not been fully clarified, the information that has been obtained is full of strangeness. What's the matter with this information? This kind of guy who lost contact with Magellan and others by himself will almost die because of baptism. Garp directly tossed the information aside. He felt that this information was completely nonsense. Maybe it's a disguise. It was through the disguise that they were sent to the first floor. After all, the guards on the first floor are also the weakest. Gion spoke up. The probability of camouflage is higher. By the way, is there any new news from Impel down? Aokiji asked. It had been a while since they set off, and they must know the specifics of Impel down. The latest information, some jailers went to the floor below the first floor, and found some fainted and injured jailers and Deputy Director Hanyable. So far, no dead jailers have been found. The soldier quickly shared the latest information about Impel down. Speed up. No matter what, Impel down can't be missed. Aokiji was also tense at the moment, thinking that those monsters on the 6th floor might run out gave him a headache, but he was actually fine now. Even if he ran out, his strength had regressed a lot, and he didn't have much physical strength. But once these people are allowed to flow around the world, it will really be a big trouble at that time. The warship continued to accelerate. On the other side, after Luo Ning completed another reinforcement, he went all the way up. He also knew that marine support must be coming soon, so he took the initiative to go up. Anyway, where to fight or not? After completing the strengthening, he felt that his strength had skyrocketed to an even more terrifying level. Now there are only a few subjects to experiment with. Walking along the road, the guards found him only after reaching the first floor. As for the phone bugs on other floors, they still haven't woken up yet. Chapter 19 Sunbathing at the door of Impel down open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. You can't leave here. Some jailers are blocking the entrance of the first floor at the moment. They are the jailers here. Some of the jailers have already escaped because of the pressure brought by Luo Ning. After all, people are also afraid of death. However, there were still some responsible jailers blocking the entrance to the first floor. After discovering Luo Ning, they rushed here quickly and were ready to sacrifice. I'm not very disgusted with people like you. In addition, I don't plan to leave, but the support from Naval Headquarters is coming soon. It's not very good to fight here. It's better to fight outside in a spacious place. Quote. Luo Ning said with a smile, and a group of prison guards were also confused. They couldn't figure out what was going on. It stands to reason that there is no need for the other party to fool themselves and others. After all, their strength is not enough in front of the other party. After the other party went down, Magellan, Shiryu and others lost contact. You don't need to think about it to know that you must be defeated by the opponent, so is it necessary for the opponent to talk nonsense with yourself and others here? But as jailers, they have their own responsibilities, so no matter what Luo Ning said is true or not, they cannot back down half a step. Forget it, I won't embarrass you, just get some sleep next. Luo Ning shook his head. He felt pretty good about this kind of jailer. Although he disliked Marine, he had a right to blame, and he didn't like to casually burn his anger on other people. So I just released a little Reiatsu and stunned a group of jailers. Afterwards, Luo Ning came to the ground floor. Not surprisingly, he also encountered some obstacles here, and Hannibal and others had already been brought to this floor, but they hadn't woken up yet. Coming to the gate of Impel down, Luo Ning fantasizes about a deck chair and some food. The weather is nice enough to sunbathe before they come. Luo Ning changed his clothes and lay on the deck chair basking in the sun in floral underpants, with iced drinks and various foods beside him, looking like he was on vacation by the sea. Who the hell is this guy? Knowing that Naval Headquarters support is coming, how dare you be so leisurely? Some of the jailers who had escaped just now were hiding behind the gate to observe secretly, and pass the information they obtained to Marine. They really can't understand Luo Ning's brain circuit, why is it so weird? Advertisement. Their information was quickly transmitted to Marine, and seeing the information transmitted, and even seeing the screen projected by the phone bug, they were speechless. As this guy defying our Marine? The ghost spider held back for a long time before choking out this sentence. Judging from the current situation, the prisoners did not have any major problems, and Luo Ning did not release other prisoners. But Luo Ning's behavior made the ghost spider feel that Marine's majesty was underestimated. Ha 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 ha, this kid has quite a personality. Knowing that the prisoners hadn't been released, Garp returned to his previous unreliable self. Vice Admiral Garp, this is not the time to be happy, alright, although this is indeed half good news, but this guy is indeed very weird, what exactly does he want to do? Guillaume didn't understand Luo Ning's behavior. He pretended to sneak into the first floor, then escaped from prison, went to the lower floor, defeated all the jailers, and went outside to sunbathe. What kind of operation is this? This can no longer be described as a pure neurosis, okay. Whatever this guy's purpose is, he's defying our Marine, this B********** D must be taken down. Some irascible vice admirals don't care so much at the moment. Although the other party did not release other prisoners, what does this behavior mean? It means that the other party feels that they have nothing to fear. Completely ignoring Marine's majesty, even now is equivalent to sending a message to the outside world, that is, the breakthrough to breakthrough Impel down is very simple. Once this kind of news spreads, it is conceivable that their reputation will be questioned. Marine, who always valued reputation more than anything else, naturally would not allow such a situation to happen. But there is still a chance to save it now, as long as this B******** D is taken down, the news is blocked, and then an excuse is made to the outside world. It's like putting what Luffy and others did on Smoker's head. There are many such things in Marine did. Regarding other people's words, Aokiji didn't say much, but kept frowning. He always felt that this matter revealed a little bit of weirdness, which was really abnormal. In this way, Marine's warship has been advancing rapidly, past the Gate of Justice, and then came to the Gate of Impel down. At this moment, Magellan and others in the lower level were also rescued. Although they were injured, they woke up quickly because of their monster-like physiques, even before Hannibal and others. Chapter 20 Marine arrives open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Director, you're awake. A few jailers wearing gas masks stood in front of Magellan. There was no way for him to do so. Magellan's body was full of poison, even the gas he exhaled. They couldn't do without masks. I just remembered, where is that prisoner? How is it? There are still prisoners on the 6th floor. Have you been released by this guy? Magellan remembered the scene when he was defeated, and his face was extremely ugly at this moment. If those criminals were released, his crime would be serious, and he would bring great trouble to the world. Don't worry, that guy just knocked out all the prisoners on the 6th floor, and now they are still at the gate of our Impel down, and are still sunbathing. In the end, the jailer stuttered, there was nothing he could do. It was really unacceptable to say this. What did you say? Magellan was relieved to hear that the prisoners hadn't been released, but when he heard the end, his head nearly went off. Seeing the bewildered look on their director's face, the jailers patiently repeated the words. They knew that Magellan was not to blame for making a fuss. Matter. Sunbathing at the entrance of Impel down, this B************D. Gululu. Magellan's complexion became extremely ugly, and he was about to stand up to find Luo Ning, but suddenly there was a strange noise in his stomach. It was not because he was hungry, but because his toxins had begun to show their power again. We must know that his diarrhea today has not been completed yet, it came out halfway because of Luo Ning's incident, and now his stomach is reacting again. He should be thankful that his stomach didn't respond when he was in a coma just now, otherwise Magellan would have been completely dead. Director, the support from Naval Headquarters has arrived. That person hasn't escaped yet. It seems that he is waiting for the support from Naval Headquarters to arrive. You should solve your problem first. The guard next to him kindly reminded that if Magellan went to fight now, he might have diarrhea in the middle of the fight. They wanted to laugh when they thought that Magellan might be uncontrollably pulled in their crotch, but they held back anyway. And Magellan also turned green. Indeed, his diarrhea problem is a big problem. Now that the support from Naval Headquarters has not arrived, and Luo Ning has not left yet, let's solve the diarrhea problem first. Without saying a word, Magellan rushed out of the door and ran into his exclusive toilet. His injuries are not very serious, so he can still move. If Shiryu can't, of course, in the case of One Piece World, some bones are broken. Shiryu can stand up and continue fighting as long as his willpower is strong enough. After all, Luffy, who has unlocked the blood lock, is the real immune to death, and he can stand up and continue fighting no matter how injured he is. Advertisement. Everyone in Pirate World is like a monster. After Magellan woke up, the others also started to wake up one after another, but they didn't rush out to trouble Luo Ning directly, and they also knew that they were not Luo Ning's opponent. Instead of delivering groceries now, it's better to wait until the people from Naval Headquarters arrive and then cooperate internally and externally to deal with each other. In this way, the time passed by every minute and every second. Even if there is a shortcut like the Gate of Justice, it will take a lot of time for Marine to reach Impel down. After all, not everyone is Kizaru. Impel is down ahead. Magellan and the others have already woken up. Except for Shiryu, who doesn't have much combat power, most of the others have retained most of their combat power. Is this guy really not worried at all? Aokiji really can't understand, now they have already regarded Luo Ning as a psychopath. After all, normal people would never do such nonsense. It's finally here, everyone behind the door, don't you plan to come out? After seeing the warship, Luo Ning's clothes changed into his previous sportswear, and he yelled at the gate. Did you really find us a long time ago? Magellan came out with men who were still fighting. With so many of you hiding behind the door, even those who don't know much can easily feel your presence, okay. Luo Ning rolled his eyes, so many people were hiding behind the door, and some people were whispering, so why did Magellan think he was hiding well? That's it, then continue the previous topic, what is your purpose? Magellan had doubts on his face. Before, he thought that Luo Ning was trying to rescue someone from the 6th floor, but later he found out that he was wrong. Luo Ning was not trying to save people at all, but knocked everyone unconscious. He didn't do anything after being knocked out, and he just left. He really couldn't figure out why he was squatting on the toilet just now for such a confusing operation. Purpose. Do you mean why I came to Impel Down, or what I did in Impel Down? Luo Ning asked. Chapter 21 Face and Justice Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. Does it make any difference? Magellan froze for a moment, there seemed to be no difference. Of course there is a difference, so I will explain it to you a little bit. Marines over there, please listen carefully. After all, this matter has something to do with you. Luo Ning glanced at Aokiji and the others who arrived. The mayor, Luo Ning felt his eyelids twitch wildly. Fortunately, he had strengthened his strength again, otherwise he might not be the opponent of these guys. Related to us, people here have very strong 5 senses. They all heard Magellan asking this question just now, but the other party actually said that it has something to do with himself and others, so they must listen carefully. Afterwards, Luo Ning recounted what had happened to him before. Wait, are you serious? First admit that Marine does have a lot of moths, but why did your strength get brought to the big prison? Garp couldn't understand, what strength is Luo Ning, and what strength are those Marines? Marine has a dark side Garp has always known, but he doesn't want to bother with it. That's why he has been staying in the position of Vice Admiral. Even after returning to East Blue, he has no contact with other Marines, but simply visits his hometown. To put it bluntly, Garp is a person who doesn't care about things, and he doesn't want to see the darkness of Marine and be an idler. The corner of Luo Ning's mouth twitched in response to Garp's question. He couldn't tell Garp that his strength had just become like this today. No one would believe such words. There seems to be no conflict between the two. Luo Ning made a vague sentence, no one would believe it if he said it, so just be vague and forget about it. So the whole thing was a misunderstanding. Garp spoke again. That's right, it's a misunderstanding, but it was before, and it's not a misunderstanding now. Look at these people should be from Akainu's side, I really want to tear me apart with my eyes. Luo Ning looked at those hawkish vice admirals, whose eyes were fixed on him. That's right, it was indeed a misunderstanding before, but now it can no longer be positioned as simple as a misunderstanding. Aokiji also spoke. The cause of the whole thing is you Marine, and your Marine philosophy has turned this into an endless loop. No matter how strong I am, as long as you kill your Marines will not care who I am, and will definitely position me as a pirate. Luo Ning is extremely disdainful of Marine's concept of deformed justice. When encountering what happened to him, the only choice is not to resist. Once he resists, he will be a pirate. Advertisement. Luo Ning's words also made the faces of the vice admirals a little bit uneasy. At their level, don't they understand the darkness? Back then, Saul was also imprisoned because of Marine's darkness, and later died because of these darkness. You're right, although I really don't want to admit it, but this is indeed an internal problem of Marine, but you should also know that now your problem can no longer be resolved. Aokiji spoke. That's right, I never thought that this matter could be resolved. After all, this is a loss of your Marine's noble face and absolute justice. Luo Ning said with a smile, but the words he said sounded extremely harsh to the ears of Aokiji and others. A criminal is a criminal, why bother talking so much nonsense with him? The ghost spider drew out his saber and slashed at Luo Ning directly. The saber made a huge slash. However, this slash was crushed by Luo Ning's slap in the next second. That's why I don't want to talk nonsense with you. People like you don't make sense at all. Even if you know you are wrong, you don't want to change. If you can't solve the problem, then solve the problem. You have always been like this, right? Luo Ning's words seemed to be full of level 10 taunts, which made the people on Marine's side extremely uncomfortable. I tell you to shut up. The more Luo Ning said, the more he hit these people's sore spots. The ghost spider also directly activated the return of life, and a lot of knives chopped over like this. But after he rushed in front of Luo Ning, the knives in his hands couldn't touch Luo Ning at all, no matter how he attacked, they couldn't cut them. And Luo Ning is more like taking a walk in the garden. While avoiding the ghost spider's attack, Luo Ning put his hand on the ghost spider's shoulder, and then the visionary ability was activated. The ability of a visionary can even imagine life, but now Luo Ning can't do that. Because the existence of life needs to consume a lot of Reiatsu, and the strength of life imagined is completely incomparable with him. It's okay to use pretend to deal with miscellaneous soldiers, but now this situation is not suitable for creating those lives. With the created life, Luo Ning can decide the other party's life and death in a single thought. But he can't directly imagine the death and destruction of the enemy, but if he touches him and the power of fantasy invades the opponent's body, then he can easily defeat the enemy in this way. Chapter 22 Touching Fantasy, Bones as fragile as biscuits. Open black lens bracket. Favorites close black lens bracket. Crack, click. After Luo Ning touched the ghost spider, he backed away, and the ghost spider's body suddenly made a strange noise, and then the whole person lay on the ground like a puddle of mud. What's going on? Why are all my bones broken? Even the ghost spider is already in a cold sweat, because he found that the bones of his limbs are broken, and even a lot of ribs and the like are broken. The whole person is now like a puddle of mud, and there are broken bones. The pain kept coming. Ghost spider. Aokiji, who saw this scene, shaved and came to the ghost spider. Do not touch me. Although I don't know what happened, but now the ghost spider feels that its bones are very fragile, so weak that it can't support its own body strength at all, causing it to break. What the hell did you do? Aokiji looked at Luo Ning seriously. It's not a big deal, it's just that his bones are as fragile as biscuits. Of course, it's not the same as the Charlotte family who played with biscuits, but purely the most fragile biscuits. Think about it carefully. If your bones become as fragile as biscuits, how can you support your body? With such a big body, your weight alone can directly break your bones. Luo Ning just injected the power of fantasy into the ghost spider's body the moment he touched it, and then activated the ability to change the hardness of his bones into the hardness of a biscuit. No need to use force, just the weight of the body can directly crush the bones in his body. However, the ghost spider is worthy of being the vice admiral of the headquarters, and he is also a hawk. Even the shattered bones did not make him lose consciousness, nor did he lose his life, but lay on the ground like mud. Hiss, what kind of ability is this? After hearing Luo Ning's words, everyone was terrified. What kind of method is this? Make other people's bones as brittle as biscuits. Damn it. At this moment, Aokiji was in the same situation, he didn't even dare to touch the ghost spider. Now the ghost spider's body is extremely fragile, if you don't pay attention, the ghost spider may die. Attention everyone, don't be touched by his hand. At this time, Garp also spoke, and his face became extremely serious at this moment. This matter has reached the point where it is unavoidable. He also noticed just now that before the ghost spider fell, Luo Ning's hand touched the ghost spider. Advertisement. As expected of Vice Admiral Garp, what I did was already very secretive, but you still saw it. Luo Ning was also a little surprised. He did it very secretly and deceived most people's eyes, but Garp still saw it. As the ability activated by the touch of the hand. If so, then the other party should also be a fruit-capable user. Gion's eyes brightened. Although the enemy is very difficult, it would be much easier if he is a person with fruit ability. The information obtained from Impel down did not say that Luo Ning is a person with ability. Fruit-capable users have one more weakness than others, which is that they cannot touch the sea and sea stone. This weakness is actually very fatal. The reason why Big Mom was kicked out of the boat by Jinbei is because Jinbei weakened Big Mom's ability with seawater in advance. Seawater and sea stone are the nemesis of ability users. Even if you know that he is a capable person, it is not easy to deal with him. Others were sweating profusely on their foreheads. When they hit someone, they might not be able to hit them for a long time, but they only needed to touch them once and they would be useless. Look at the ghost spider. No one wants to be the second ghost spider, and the bones on his body become as hard as biscuits, even if he wants to be the first. This is true even if they know armament hockey. After all, armament hockey only enhances defense and attack power and can attack Logia-capable people, not eliminate the opponent's ability. Everyone retreat, the next battle is not what you should participate in. Just when everyone was having a headache, Aokiji woke everyone up with a word, and then everyone remembered, isn't there another Aokiji? Aokiji can be elementalized, as long as it is elementalized when it is touched, then Aokiji, who is a piece of ice, can completely recondense, and there is no need to worry that he will become the same as a ghost spider. Others can't do it, even Garp can't do it now. After all, Garp is a master of gymnastics. Once he is touched at close range, the consequences will be unimaginable. Magellan, why didn't you tell us he has this weird ability? After everyone pushed away, a vice admiral looked at Magellan. I don't know, he didn't use this weird ability at all when he was fighting me, otherwise, would you still be able to see me here? When he was fighting me, he was completely immune to my poison. Magellan was also in a cold sweat. Looking at this muddy ghost spider, he was extremely thankful that Luo Ning didn't use this move when he was fighting with him just now, otherwise he probably wanted to die. In fact, Luo Ning was just trying to test how far his strength has increased, so he fought head to head with them. Otherwise, Luo Ning might not use this trick against Magellan like this, but Shiryu will definitely end up like the ghost spider. Chapter 23 Luo Ning. Who says I'm a capable person? Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Ice cube 2 thorny spears. Although he has the ability of elementalization, Aokiji does not intend to get close to Luo Ning so hastily. Luo Ning's current ability is still unknown, and it is necessary to guard against it. Isn't it a bit too contemptuous of me to attack me with such tricks? Luo Ning dodged Aokiji's attack with a random dodge. It wasn't a large-scale attack, and it wasn't a super powerful attack. Even if he didn't dodge and hit him with this move, there was no reaction at all. The pheasant. Without talking nonsense with Luo Ning, Aokiji waved a huge ice bird and rushed over. Without this attack, Luo Ning would not have foolishly pretended to be able to dodge the attack, and would have avoided the attack with a quick jump. Frozen time capsule. Seeing that Luo Ning could not be hit by a direct attack, Aokiji wanted to control Luo Ning's movement at this moment, and a cold air rushed towards Luo Ning quickly. Strictly speaking, Aokiji's attack did not have too much lethality, more the most important thing is control. At least at the same level, the lethality of Aokiji's moves should be the lowest among the three admirals. The cold air came at a very fast speed, but Luo Ning stopped in the air, and then jumped up again. The cold air rushed past, and Luo Ning's body did not fall, but continued to stagnate in midair. This is not that Luo Ning imagines that he has other superpowers, but directly uses Reiatsu to pave the way under his feet, which is something that all people who have reached a certain level of Reiatsu can do. Can I still fly? It's getting trickier. Seeing that Luo Ning simply stayed in midair, Aokiji's face became extremely ugly. From the ground to the sky, the battlefield expanded countless times in an instant. Even if he knew moonwalk, he could temporarily fly, but Luo Ning avoided his attack. It is much easier. The current situation is extremely unfavorable to Aokiji. At the same time, Luo Ning has stepped on Reiatsu and rushed over quickly. Because he imagined that he has super speed, his speed is as fast as a 6-style master using shaving without interruption. At the critical moment, Aokiji's body quickly elementalized, Luo Ning punched the ice, and the ice was shattered. Observation Haki and elementalization. Luo Ning's speed is fast enough, but Aokiji also has observation Haki. After observation Haki is opened, it is equivalent to opening a perception field, although his speed is so fast that it is even difficult for Aokiji to capture his position. But it will definitely be captured by observation Haki, and Aokiji also completed the elementalization quickly, which caused the blow just now to have no effect. It's so dangerous. If I took this blow just now, I'm afraid it won't be too good. Advertisement. Forced to condense again in the distant ice, looking at Luo Ning with some trepidation, the speed is really too fast. Just when Luo Ning was about to continue his attack, suddenly several huge wooden barrels flew towards him. Subconsciously, Luo Ning directly exploded these wooden barrels. The moment they exploded, a large amount of water spilled out of the wooden barrels. Sea water. Is this treating me as a capable person? But such an operation is indeed feasible. Luo Ning was also stunned for a moment. This was sea water, and the other marines were not idle either. When Aokiji and Luo Ning were fighting, Gion had already prepared a lot of sea water to put in wooden barrels. The moment Luo Ning and Aokiji pulled apart, a wooden barrel filled with seawater was thrown. This kind of tactic is really effective when put on a normal ability user. No matter how strong the ability is, after being touched by seawater, the ability will be invalidated, and even the strength will be weakened. If soaked in seawater, then basically there is no resistance. This amount of seawater is also the nemesis of some ability users. There are actually many ways to use seastone to deal with capable people in the original pirate book, such as the seastone bullets that appeared in Zephyr's hands, and the seastone weapons in Smoker's hands. In fact, there are various ways. Seastone is not indestructible, you can completely turn it into stone powder, and then scatter it out. For a capable person, you have to breathe, right? Once you inhale seastone stone powder, the consequences will be fatal, one can imagine. There are many bugs in the comics, which are also for the development of the plot, and people, there is no way to think of everything, but now this world is real. So Gion and others came up with such a method. In Luo Ning's view, this is normal. Frozen time capsule. At the moment when the seawater fell, Aokiji, who was not covered by the seawater, released his ability again, intending to take advantage of this gap to freeze Luo Ning. Seawater can eliminate the ability of the ability user, but it cannot eliminate the ability released by the ability user. The cooperation is pretty good, but you miscalculated a bit. Luo Ning appeared in midair again with a dodge. I have never said that I am a capable person. Luo Ning looked at the bewildered Aokiji and the others and said, if he was a capable person, he might have fallen just now, but the problem is that he is not capable and has no such weakness. Chapter 24 The way to deal with Aokiji open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Not a capable person. How is this possible? Everyone had incredible expressions on their faces. It shouldn't be. Why can you fly in midair if you are not a capable person? If you are not a person with abilities, why can you make the bones of ghost spiders as fragile as biscuits? This series of abilities has been used, but you actually say that you are not an ability user. Is it possible? Impossible. We've even seen him use his avatar ability before. Magellan couldn't figure it out anyway. When he and Shiryu and others were fighting against Luo Ning before, Luo Ning also used the clone to test them, and the main body came out after confirming that there was nothing wrong. With so many abilities, how could he not be an ability user? What kind of monster is this? It's not an ability user, but it has so many special abilities. In this way, seawater and seastone are useless at all, and you can't get close to it. You can only rely on Aokiji Admiral to fight him alone. Gion and the others gradually seeped cold sweat on their foreheads. How can this monster fight? There is no weakness. Have you noticed that this little guy doesn't seem to know armament hockey? At this moment, Garp, who had been silent beside him, spoke up, attracting everyone's attention. No armament hockey. Everyone looked at Garp with some doubts. Kuzan's ability is completely public in the sea. Any enemy who faces Kuzan, as long as he knows armament hockey, will definitely use armament hockey immediately. The one he hit Kuzan quickly just now, if he used armament hockey, Kuzan would not die or be seriously injured, but he was useless. Even from the beginning of the battle to now, the old man has not seen him use the power of hockey once. Quote. Garp has been watching, and as a seasoned veteran, he has seen the problem. It seems to be true. I didn't see him using hockey in the battle with me and Shiryu, but why can't such a strong person not hockey? It shouldn't be. Magellan couldn't understand. Hockey can be said to be a stepping stone for the strong, and people who don't know hockey, unless the fruit is quite heaven-defying, they simply can't join the ranks of thinking. When a person grows up to such a strong level, he will come into contact with hockey no matter what. Why not use hockey? This is outrageous. I don't know, maybe he will, maybe he is playing with Kuzan Kid now, but the probability of this is not great. Garp shook his head. How could he know that Luo Ning was full of weirdness, but he couldn't understand it anyway. Advertisement. Aokiji Admiral, there is a high probability that the opponent will not hockey. After listening to the analysis of Garp and others, Jaji quickly yelled at Aokiji. Probably not hockey. Aokiji was taken aback when he heard it, and then he began to have some doubts. After all, the perfect opportunity that Luo Ning attacked him just now did not use hockey. It was discovered again. Luo Ning is also speechless. In fact, he tried to use the ability of fantasy to make himself have hockey, but failed. Fantasizing superpowers is actually not so versatile, and it is impossible to fantasize about some two special abilities. Otherwise, Gremi can completely fantasize about the skills of Ryujin Jaka of Old Man Sean, or even Zanpakuto and Shinigami of others. But Gremi didn't, because he couldn't do it. Similarly, Luo Ning can imagine the ability of a man of steel. As I said before, such a man of steel is not like a Superman, but a simple defense that soars. Kind. He can't fantasize about hockey, and what replaces observation hockey is crisis perception and Reiatsu perception. All in all, there are always limitations to this ability, and he doesn't know how much freedom is needed to complete it. However, judging from the current situation, even if he defeats all the Marines here, he still cannot complete this ability, and at this stage, he mainly focuses on enhancing his combat power, so he will naturally not try to complete this ability. Although there is no armament hockey, it doesn't mean that he can't do anything with Aokiji. The energy of Reiatsu is aimed at the soul, and Luo Ning has the ability to directly attack the soul, which is even more deadly for people with Logia abilities like Aokiji and others. Although there are some special beings in this world that can manipulate and play with the soul, there is basically no ability to strengthen the soul. Even the self-healing of the soul takes a lot of time. The self-healing of the soul is more difficult than the body. So once he gets hit with a Reiatsu attack, it's going to be a pain. This is also his trump card to deal with Logia ability users, and besides, he actually has other ways to deal with Aokiji. The Logia fruit has a certain degree of restraint. For example, Lock Doll, when Luffy was covered in blood, he was hit, and the liquid thing has a restraining effect on the ability of Lock Doll. Aokiji is ice. As long as the temperature is high enough, the ice will melt, and even sublimate directly from a solid state to a gaseous state. There are many ways to deal with Aokiji, so Luo Ning does not panic at all. Chapter 25 Soul Attack Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. It's a pity that I only got the power of the holy text, and didn't get the tricks like the holy destroying arrow of the Quincy system. Luo Ning shook his head. What he pulled out were pure holy characters, without the Quincy system, but this did not hinder anything. After all, he would still attack the opponent with the purest condensed Reiatsu. Reiatsu has condensed on the outer layer of his hands at this moment, wrapping his hands. In this way, even if Aokiji becomes elemental, this Reiatsu will directly hit his soul. The body escapes such an attack, but the soul can hide but. After Reiatsu condensed, a burst of blue light burst out from Luo Ning's hands, which looked like two blue balls of light wrapped around his fists. What kind of weird trick is this? Aokiji was also extremely vigilant after seeing such a change. He has always turned on the elemental ability. The next second, Luo Ning disappeared in front of his eyes again. The same attack as before, but this time Aokiji had the experience of the previous one, so Luo Ning's attack was narrowly dodged by him. However, this was only the first attack. Luo Ning was a distance away from him just now. Although he was caught by the knowledgeable color even though he was fast, the two of them were almost stuck together now. Luo Ning attacked again, and Aokiji couldn't dodge such an attack at all. The only person who could dodge Luo Ning's rapid attack was probably only Kizaru, or others relying on their super physical fitness and other hard resistance. In fact, Aokiji can also fight hard, because he can armament hockey. Armament hockey can enhance defense and attack, but now he uses elementalization. Elementalization and armed color are contrary. So he didn't use the armed color. This punch directly opened a big hole in Aokiji's abdomen, and Aokiji's icy body exploded directly due to the huge force. But in the blink of an eye, Aokiji's body condensed in the distance again. But this time after Aokiji condensed his body, he directly covered his abdomen, because at this moment there was an extremely severe pain in his abdomen. As Marine Admiral, they have suffered a lot of injuries in the past. At first Aokiji thought he was used to the pain, but now the pain in his abdomen was so severe that he could not bear it. At this moment, beads of sweat kept coming out of Aokiji's forehead, and he bent over to cover his abdomen, and even his body was trembling slightly. This is all Luo Ning's punch just now, which pierced his body, and similarly, Reiatsu's attack also pierced his abdomen. But that kind of attack didn't directly shatter Aokiji's soul, but it was equivalent to opening a hole in the belly of his soul. The severe pain now comes from the soul, and the severe pain of the soul being torn apart is not comparable to the pain of physical injury. However, compared with the body, the soul has a slight advantage when receiving such damage. If a hole is opened in the abdomen of the body, a normal person will die suddenly. Advertisement. But the soul suffers such pain, the other party will not die directly, the soul will slowly repair itself, but this process will be very long. Aokiji's soul is still stronger than ordinary people, but this kind of soul trauma cannot be recovered in a short period of time. Luo Ning cannot determine the specific time. It depends entirely on the individual situation. This kind of torture may choose to kill himself. Before his soul is restored, he has to endure such severe pain, which is equivalent to mental torture. Why? I clearly dodged the blow just now. Wait a minute, my body is not injured, but where did this severe pain come from? Aokiji couldn't understand how he was injured, his body didn't change at all, he could feel that there was nothing wrong with his body, even the internal organs, but there was a terrible pain coming from this position. Is it the effect of those two groups of blue light? Aokiji has already guessed why he has such severe pain at this moment. He believes that this is Luo Ning's ability. Luo Ning does not know armament hockey, so he used this special method to cause such severe pain to himself. Although his body was not injured in any way, and his physical strength was still very strong, the continuous impact of such severe pain on the battle was also very obvious. At this moment, Aokiji also knew that there was nothing to be done, so he came directly to the Marines. Retreat. Aokiji gritted his teeth and said these two words, on the one hand because he was extremely unwilling, and on the other hand because the severe pain kept coming. Although the others are still capable of fighting, he doesn't think they can get any benefits from Luo Ning. The ghost spider is the best example. With such a weird ability, being close up without elementalization is equivalent to finishing the game, but with elementalization. For example, he was also beaten like this by the opponent with unknown means. God knows what kind of means Luo Ning will have, so now Aokiji can only choose to retreat. Those who don't retreat here may all lose here. Aokiji Admiral, what the hell is going on? Are you injured? The others are also panicking. They can't withdraw now, especially Magellan. Marine has withdrawn. He can't follow suit. This is his territory. Chapter 26 Luo Ning. It's all here. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Boy, what did you do to Kuzan? Garp really couldn't understand what happened to Aokiji. He was not injured at all, but he was holding his stomach as if he was seriously injured. Why do you think I'm going to tell you? Luo Ning asked with some puzzlement. Even if there is no way to resist soul damage or repair soul damage in this world, why did he tell the other party? They are enemies now. Forget it, the old man doesn't intend to ask this anymore, so let's change the question. Where are you going after that? You can't just stay here Impel down. Garp is also helpless. Indeed, why do people have to tell him what the method of attacking Aokiji is? Others are not insane. However, Garp still asked the most critical question. Since it was sent by that decadent marine before, what about now? I feel good about this deep sea prison, so, I plan to make a home here. Originally Garp thought that Luo Ning would leave directly, but he never expected to get such an answer. All the members of Impel Down who heard this sentence seemed to have masks of pain on their faces. It was uncomfortable. This is their territory. What did you say? Even if you have seen strong winds and waves, the Garp who beat the third generation One Piece has been completely fooled. What kind of operation is this? He can't read it. Is there any problem? Because I think this place is good, I plan to settle down here. Luo Ning repeated a sentence. This is the deep sea prison Impel Down, why do you have to make your home here? Garp was going crazy. With the current level of threat from the opponent, their marine was already extremely difficult, but the opponent did not turn the entire Impel Down upside down and release the prisoners inside. After the big deal, Marine turned a blind eye, at least until he found out how to deal with Luo Ning. But now the other party still doesn't intend to leave, and wants to settle down here. This is too much. Even if Marine wants to turn a blind eye to it, it's impossible. After all, I was sent in by your Marine. I don't think it's that easy for me to leave. Have you ever heard a saying? It's easier to ask God than to send God away. This is my hometown. If you do something wrong, you have to pay the price, but now, that's the price. In fact, Luo Ning also has his own ideas. He wants to separate the deep sea prison from other forces and completely become his own force. There is too much garbage in this sea. Especially those celestial dragons. He will grab a few celestial dragons and throw them in later. It will be fun. Advertisement. Garp doesn't know what to say anymore. Now he just wants to knock those rotten Marines' heads off. In desperation, Garp could only leave temporarily. Anyway, the other party is just settling down and won't make a mess of Impel down, so let Sengoku have a headache. He is a vice admiral. As long as there is no chaos here, he is too lazy to do anything else. Tube. Hey, you don't plan to leave so easily. Seeing that Garp and others were leaving, Luo Ning was not happy. How could such a large group of experienced packs be let go? What do you mean? Garp and the others instantly became vigilant. Isn't it obvious? You people, send whoever you want to this prison, and send troops to deal with me. How can I let you leave so easily? A slight smile appeared on the corner of Luo Ning's mouth, and then the terrifying Reiatsu erupted. The beam of Reiatsu shot up into the sky, and the terrifying Reiatsu spread in all directions. All down. Even Rear Admiral was stunned by this Reiatsu, and Vice Admiral was also greatly affected. It is estimated that half of his combat power cannot be exerted now. How could there be such a powerful Conqueror's Haki? The Vice Admirals who were still awake looked at Luo Ning in horror. This Conqueror's Haki was too domineering. More domineering than Whitebeard Roger. No, this is not Conqueror's Haki at all, although the effect is somewhat similar, but Conqueror's is definitely not like this. Garp used to deal with Conqueror's holders a lot before, and he was very familiar with Conqueror's. This attack was very similar to Conqueror's, but even Whitebeard and Roger's Conqueror's Haki couldn't be so terrifying. The people who are awake now are at least Vice Admiral, and their combat power is greatly suppressed. How could this be something that Conquerors can do? Anyway, he's never seen anyone's Conquerors reach this level in his life. Not Conqueror's Haki. Gion and the others were very surprised, but Garp is an authority among them, so they will believe what others say. As expected of Marine, it looks like I have to go to Naval Headquarters later. Luo Ning's eyes lit up as he looked at the continuously accumulating free points. The soldiers on the dozen or so warships originally came to suppress the Impel down riot, so there were a lot of them, but now Luo Ning cut them off. Chapter 27 Head-to-head open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Are you really going to fight Marine forever? Garp's face was not very good looking. I will never die. Did I kill any of you? Didn't you come here with the intention of killing me? I just crippled the guy who was going to kill me. It's kindness not to kill him. As for you people, I don't intend to kill you, but it's okay to sleep here honestly. Luo Ning said with a smile. As for him, although he felt disgusted by Marine, it was not to the extent of bloodthirsty. Of course, if Marine insisted on making troubles, then he would not keep his hand. What he wants to do is entirely up to him. After speaking, Luo Ning started, but Garp's reaction speed is also very fast. In terms of physical skills, the three admirals are not enough in front of Garp, and the three admirals mainly rely on Haki. Although it is not weak in other aspects, it is not much comparable to someone like Garp who specializes in physical skills. Garp's observation Haki is always on. As for the armed color, Garp's armed color can be said to be a peak level of pirates. Perhaps because of getting older, the combat power has declined, but it has definitely not declined particularly sharply. As for those who have declined sharply, Bullet has proved that it is not that their combat power is too weak, but because of the theatrical version, Bullet has not even experienced a decline in power and has increased. In the end, it's not that he was hammered by Luffy. Although there were other people who helped, they only helped consume Bullet's physical strength and Haki, and did not cause substantial damage to Bullet. Compared with Whitebeard, although Whitebeard's strength has declined, he is still very strong. The strength of this fist is worthy of the person who hammered down 2 generations of One Piece, although it is somewhat watery. Luo Ning and Garp punched each other. The strength is indeed quite exaggerated. It is not comparable to Aokiji and the others. Garp hammered 2 generations of One Piece, which is watery, and rocks is him and Roger teaming up. And what about Roger? Although it is said that he pushed Roger's entire pirate group into desperation several times, but who knows what happened, in the end Roger also surrendered himself. Therefore, Garp's combat power gives people a very false feeling, but since this character is shaped like this by the original author, he will definitely show it in the future, otherwise why did he keep bragging like this? Garp's combat power should not be underestimated, and this power now really shows that Garp is not simple. Water. Then come and taste the watery fist of this old man. Garp is upset, although he does have moisture, but it doesn't mean he has no strength, okay. The fists covered in armed colors kept bombarding Luo Ning, and Luo Ning also fantasized about a man of steel and strange power. Advertisement. 2 perverts with terrifying powers were fighting here, and the ground outside the prison began to collapse. Ice Age. Seeing this scene, Aokiji's face also changed. The collision between these 2 people was too terrifying. If this continues, it will probably affect the prison wall below. Once the water leaks, it will be troublesome. So Aokiji simply froze the surrounding sea area. Although his battle strength is now damaged due to the severe pain, it doesn't mean that he can't use such a trick. It's very thoughtful, Garp, to fight on the ice. After Luo Ning finished speaking, he dodged and came to the ice, and Garp rushed over directly. Finger pistol. Garp himself is a master of the 6 forms, but his 6 forms did not produce as many fancy derivative skills as Lu Qi and the others, but the purest attack. But this power is also outrageous. However, Garp is facing Luo Ning now. Luo Ning's steel body completely resisted such an attack. He directly resisted and did not hide at all. The same is true for Garp at this moment. Armament Haki covers the whole body, and the whole person is like a metal man, generally. Garp's armament Haki is top-notch. As for emission, it is actually a method of using Haki. Haki is Haki, but the name of the trick is different. Garp's terrifying armament Haki, the skills of emission, are also handy for Garp. External attack, internal attack, Garp played armament Haki very well, but such an attack is actually ineffective against Luo Ning. Unlike others, Luo Ning's iron body strengthens the whole body, including internal organs. So even if Garp's Haki attacks the inside through the body, it's useless. This defense is simply not something Garp can break. It can only be said that the Impel down contributed too many free points to Luo Ning before, which caused Luo Ning to be directly strengthened to such a terrifying level. The double superposition of physical fitness and fantasy ability, Garp at this moment is extremely aggrieved. Although he can still resist Luo Ning's fist now, this kind of resistance will not last long at all. Haki will be consumed, and the more powerful the attack is, the faster it will be consumed. This is not a theatrical version either, and there will be no bullets terrifying Haki covering a huge body that covers thousands of meters. Bullet's theatrical version is really outrageous. Luffy's super big ape gun, how much Haki does it need to cover? Luffy's total Haki is not so much. Otherwise, the 4th gear can only be maintained for a short period of time. The theater version is the theater version, just watch it, and it cannot be used as a standard. Chapter 28 Monster-like physical strength open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Boy, what is your body made of? How can it be so hard? Garp was almost stunned. It was the first time he met someone who didn't respond after he called him. His fist is quite terrifying. Now he covered Haki's fist and hit Luo Ning. There was no reaction at all, and he even directly attacked the inside through the opponent's body. You know, this kind of attack is almost impossible to defend against, and the internal organs are extremely fragile, but now. Luo Ning didn't respond at all. No matter how hard he punched, the opponent didn't respond at all. On the contrary, it was the other party who punched him one after another, causing his own Haki to be consumed quickly, but at the moment Garp was also a little puzzled, why Luo Ning didn't attack him with the trick he used to attack Aokiji just now. Of course it's made of flesh and blood. Vice Admiral Garp, you're still old, isn't that the only power left in your fist? Luo Ning asked with a smile. Garp shouldn't be at the limit of combat power right now. Humans will only explode their full combat power when they are pushed to the limit. The current Garp is obviously not at this level. As for using Reiatsu to attack the soul, Luo Ning didn't do that. He just wanted to test his own strength and didn't plan to use these weird abilities to attack Garp. Otherwise, Garp would probably be lying on the ground without moving. You know, he can not only cause damage to the opponent's soul, but also directly crush the opponent's soul. Once the soul is completely shattered, the body will become a living dead if it is still alive. You really dare to say it? Boy, the old man is not so weak that a junior like you can mock him. Garp's emotions were also aroused, and his face became more serious. Luo Ning could feel the strength of Garp's fist increased a little again. Bang bang bang. At this moment, Luo Ning is completely fighting with Garp to see who can't hold it first. The movement of the two people's battle has caused continuous air waves, and the ice layer is also rapidly shattering and collapsing. The movement was so loud that it continued to spread. At this moment, Magellan was also wiping off a cold sweat. Fortunately, he didn't fight on the Impel down just now, otherwise the bottom would probably collapse directly. This Impel down will be troublesome once the water gets in. There are sea kings everywhere outside, and it is not so easy to fix it. It's hard to imagine how this Impel down was built. It probably used the ability of Devil Fruit, such as Pika's Stone Fruit ability. It seems that it is not a problem to build a deep-sea prison with his ability. There are too many wonders in this world, but Luo Ning speculates that these strange things are likely to be created after being awakened by a powerful fruit-capable user. I can't get my hands in it at all. Rushing up to help will only add to the chaos. Even the two admiral candidates, Gion and Kaji, dare not intervene rashly. After all, Garp and Luo Ning are now colliding with pure physical strength, and the frequency of such terrifying attacks is beyond their comparability. Advertisement. Moreover, the two were very close. Their attack would not only hit Luo Ning, but even Garp, which was not what they wanted to see. As for Aokiji, although he can help, but now the severe pain is constantly eroding his nerves, and he said that he can't do it while enduring such severe pain. Rather than him in his prime, rushing to help might have messed with Garp too. At this moment, no one can intervene in the battle between the two. Look at it, that guy probably didn't intend to kill him, it's the ghost spider. Aokiji has almost seen the situation of Luo Ning. Luo Ning did not kill even one of them from the beginning to the end, that is, the ghost spider. He didn't lose all his fighting power. In Aokiji's concept, Luo Ning's behavior is equivalent to standing up, and he doesn't intend to break the face with Marine, so they don't need to be so serious, and now they have suffered such a big loss. According to the strength shown by Luo Ning, they couldn't walk at all, it was like a monster. That kind of weird attack method, weird ability and no weakness, all in all, it is really incomprehensible. The battle between Garp and Luo Ning lasted for several hours. It has to be said that people in One Piece world are indeed monsters. Even Garp, whose strength has declined, has such terrifying physical strength. No wonder the top powerhouses fight for days and nights. Fortunately, Luo Ning's physical strength and Reiatsu volume are not a joke, and he is not afraid of such consumption at all. At this moment, Garp was already bruised and swollen from being beaten by Luo Ning. As for Luo Ning, he fantasized about the ability to heal himself quickly, otherwise he would probably not be much better now. He suffered very little damage, but it was rare. However, these injuries were repaired by self-healing in an instant, so at this moment, he didn't seem to have changed at all, but Garp's nose was bruised and his face was swollen. At a glance between the two parties, it is clear that Garp has suffered a big loss. Chapter 29 Angry Momosuke open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Don't fight. Don't fight. You kid is a monster, I admit defeat. Garp couldn't hold back at this moment either. The massive physical exertion made him a little bit overwhelmed at this young age. He is not at his peak now. Furthermore, seeing that no matter how hard he attacked Luo Ning, there was no reaction at all, and he had been fighting for hours, so he gave up. Anyway, the other party didn't seem to intend to kill himself and others. At worst, let him lie here for a while. Garp conceded defeat, but Luo Ning directly received a free point. It's okay for the opponent to admit defeat, but it's right to think about it. Luo Ning then looked at those vice admirals. Everyone over there, come and fight me, or you can just admit defeat. Luo Ning yelled and verified it. And Luo Ning's words made a group of vice admirals roll their eyes. Didn't you see that Vice Admiral Garp's nose was bruised and his face was swollen? How could they return it? Isn't this looking for abuse? We admit defeat, Aokiji said very bluntly. Anyway, here are all his own people, and if he doesn't admit defeat, he will fight with the opponent. He doesn't want the pain to increase again. And since he spoke like this, the other vice admirals also gave in, and Luo Ning also gained a lot of freedom at this moment. Sure enough, admitting defeat is feasible. Luo Ning was very satisfied, but at this time, there were two people who had different opinions. Wait, I haven't surrendered yet. Even if you wounded Aokiji Admiral and defeated Vice Admiral Garp, it doesn't mean I'm going to retreat without a fight. Gion pulled out her Kinpira. As Admiral's candidate and a great swordsman, she naturally wouldn't admit defeat so easily. Me too. Cake also spoke, and he said that he must be following Gion's pace. You two Admiral candidates, that's fine too, but I'm tired, so I'll trouble you to fight with my clone. Luo Ning imagined two clones exactly like himself, and said with a smile. But what he did made Gion and Cake feel bad. Don't look at me with such vicious eyes. Anyway, I have been fighting with Vice Admiral Garp for several hours. It is normal to be consumed. As for these two clones, let me remind you that I have the ability they all have it, but they are a little weaker than me. Advertisement. Luo Ning said with a smile, since the superpower of fantasy is distributed to the two clones, the fantasy is scattered, and the ability is naturally not as powerful as concentrating on him alone. But regardless of whether it is Cake or Gion, these two people are just Admiral substitutes. Without the terrifying strength of Aokiji and Garp, it is enough for the clone to fight them. Then I'll fight you after I cut off your clone. With a movement of Momosuke's feet, Marine 6 Styles shaved his hair, and he was already in front of a clone of Luo Ning, and he chopped it off with a knife. However, after the cut, there was a loud noise. It seems that you didn't cut up my clone so easily, come on. Luo Ning couldn't help laughing when he saw this scene. Even if he distracted his imagination, Momosuke still couldn't break the defense. Hateful. Luo Ning's words were full of sarcasm, causing Gion's face to blush at the moment. Of course, it was not shyness, but annoyance. After all, he looked down on his clone just now, but now he can't break his defense with a knife. This caused Momosuke to lose his face. As for Jaji, it was the same, the attack could not break the defense. As for Luo Ning, he found a fairly flat ice surface and imagined chairs and tables, as well as a lot of food, and ate it directly. The previous battle between him and Garp had damaged the ice surface badly, but fortunately Aokiji has been constantly repairing it, otherwise there would be no place to stay. What exactly is this kid's ability? Seeing that Luo Ning made so much food and chairs and tables out of thin air, Garp also squinted his eyes, but he didn't have anything to eat. In normal times, Garp would definitely do this kind of thing, even if he was beaten black and blue, but this time the situation was different. Although Luo Ning didn't kill their people, the ghost spider was useless. Even if the ghost spider is a member of the Hawk faction, it is also the Vice Admiral of Marine's headquarters, and it is his colleague. If you can't beat it, you can't beat it. Really, just admit defeat, why bother to provoke this little monster? Seeing Momosuke and Gion being beaten by two avatars, Garp felt a little helpless. To be honest, after fighting for such a long time, his physical exertion was also very serious, and he was indeed hungry now. But Momosuke and the others are still fighting, so naturally he can't just pat his A and go find something to eat. And he was even more curious about what Luo Ning's ability was, why there were so many special abilities. He tried to see something, but how could someone who didn't understand the ability of a visionary see it? Chapter 30 Magellan who wants to cry but has no tears open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. After a fierce battle, neither Gion nor Kaji survived for half an hour. It was not because they were weak, but because Luo Ning imagined that the avatar was too strong. In fact, the avatar also has the power of fantasy, but the avatar can't cover everything. If Luo Ning fantasizes about the avatar to fight, then he can only use his own fantasy power to disperse it on the avatar. Of course, if he doesn't fight, he can use the fantasy of his avatar to imagine some terrorist attacks that he can't bear. Just like Gremmy, he used his avatars to imagine a terrifying meteorite that could directly smash the entire jingling court, and he also used a large number of avatars to imagine a cosmic space. This is really scary. When fantasies gather, even space can be imagined, but unfortunately, Luo Ning can't do this now. Although meteorites can also be fantasized, they can't fantasize about such a big one. Now fighting in two clones, he had to spread his fantasy over the two clones, and he couldn't borrow the fantasy blessings of the two clones. But even so, Gion and Cake were defeated within half an hour. While hitting people without breaking the defense, while hitting people and hitting people, they were injured. This is simply not comparable. At this moment, Cake and Gion are also extremely embarrassed. Damn it, I lost to his clone. Gion is very unwilling. She is a very strong woman herself, otherwise she would not be able to climb to this height, but now, losing to the clone has hit her hard. Okay, if you lose, you lose. If you lose, you can fight back. Who dares to say that they have never lost? You young people are too fragile in their hearts. Garp rolled his eyes. Since he lost, he should practice harder and then get back on the field. Why did he use 8 mountains to practice boxing when he fought with Qingjiao? It's not that he couldn't hit Qingjiao before, but because his attack couldn't hit Qingjiao's head. That's why he used 8 mountains to practice boxing until he could directly deform Qingjiao's head with one punch. Since you can't do anything to him now, let's practice hard. Stimulated by Garp, the two quickly adjusted their mentality. Their mentality is not so fragile, after all, they are veterans who have experienced many battles. This, Vice Admiral Garp, what should we do if you leave? Seeing that Garp and others were about to leave, Magellan couldn't help pointing to himself and the others. This is Impel down. Marine can pat his A and leave. What about those prison people? You can't just pat your A and leave. Why are you panicking? That kid just said he's settling down here, and he didn't intend to do anything in Impel down. You guys should do whatever you want, just leave him alone. Advertisement. Garp said speechlessly. Magellan looked pretty good to him, but he was a little too rigid. He didn't mean any harm anyway, so let him stay here. As for the rules, in front of such a strong man, the rules are nothing. When he was fighting Luo Ning just now, the Marines on the ship were already awake, and the phone bug was also available. Others have already reported the situation here to Sengoku. Even his last battle after that, the battle between Gion and Cake, was filmed by the phone bug to the headquarters. Sengoku is also the same, so now he can only follow the other party's wishes. Although a bit aggrieved, but for now it can only do so. But, no but, otherwise you can find a way to deal with that little monster. Garp left without saying a word, and didn't bother to care about Magellan. Anyway, the words are put here, and the meaning is obvious. Laozi can't help it. You have a way to deal with others. Go on your own. Laozi will not accompany you. Seeing the figure of Garp and others leaving, Magellan was about to cry. What the hell is this? Can you pay attention to this Impel down? This is the most closely guarded prison on the sea, and now an outsider is here settled down. Magellan, do you have any suitable builders here? Let them help me build a villa here. Just when Magellan was about to cry, the devil-like voice came again. After recovering, Magellan could only sigh to the sky, helpless. In fact, Luo Ning wanted to imagine a sea villa by himself, but he couldn't do it. The previous free points were limited to normal food, as for other things. Although he can imagine it, it will still disappear after the fantasy is interrupted. He didn't want the house to suddenly disappear when he went to bed at night. On the other side, Garp is still talking to Sengoku after leaving. Okay, Xiaohei and I already know what we need to know. Come back as soon as possible. It's really troublesome. I'll talk about it after you come back. I can't explain it clearly in the phone bug. Sengoku's voice kept coming from the other side of the phone bug, after which Garp nodded and hung up the phone bug. He was going to find something to eat now, he was hungry.